Hi everyone, welcome to the CAISTROLOGY channel. My name is Cailin and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead for all 12 zodiac signs. So you can watch this horoscope for your rising, sun and moon sign. If you're only going to watch one horoscope today, I would recommend that you start off with your rising sign horoscope, also known as your ascendant sign horoscope. The reason for that being that generally speaking, it is the most accurate overall. Now, in terms of what I'm going to be delving into today, we've got the full moon in Libra, the new moon in Taurus. We've also got two Venus-Saturn conjunctions in Pisces, and we'll be having the Saturn-North Node conjunction occurring in Pisces in the middle of the month. Saturn and the North Node only form a conjunction once every 11 to 12 years. So what that means is that this is a new 11-year cycle that is commencing for you guys. Now, before I get into the Aries horoscope, I always forget to say this, but if you want to follow me for more content on my other socials, you can check out my Instagram and Facebook, which is the same handle, that being CAISTROLOGY. And of course, if you enjoy this video, if you like it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please hit the subscribe button and that way you'll be notified of when I post new videos. So without further ado, let's get into Aries. Hi Aries, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. On the 7th of April, Venus and Saturn will be forming a conjunction in Pisces in your 12th house, and this will be at 25 degrees. So I'm just going to get that up here on the screen so you can take a look. So as you can see, we've got this activation to Pisces in your 12th house with Venus conjunct Saturn and also Mercury conjunct the North Node, although that is not exact. And then we've got Neptune here and the Sun is in Aries, and obviously we've got Chiron in Aries too. So this is actually the second Venus-Saturn conjunction that we've seen in 2025. The first one occurred on the 19th of January at 16 degrees, and there will be a third one on the 25th of April. Ultimately, to understand how this conjunction is going to play out, we really need to understand what is the role or the function of Venus and what is the role and the function of Saturn. They're quite different in nature. For those of you who have studied astrology, might already be aware. In a nutshell, Venus rules over love, relationships, self-care, self-nourishment, our finances, resources, and our spendings. It's also a very creative sign, and it rules over things like food, the five senses, and the ways in which we overindulge. Now, Saturn is this disciplinarian planet. It's the planet of structure, restrictions, delays, challenges, setting boundaries, and saying no. So Pisces is where we can just go off the deep end and just lose awareness of time or how much we're indulging into things. So this Venus-Saturn conjunction in your 12th house can see some of you saying enough is enough when it comes to things like substance usage. Maybe you're trying to wean yourself off alcohol or drugs, or maybe you're trying to reduce how much medication you are taking. Another way that this can play out is that you may be bringing your dreams and your fantasies and your creative projects to life. And that's because the 12th house, which is this Piscean energy, is very creative. It is associated with the fine arts and with music and poetry, and Venus is also very creative as well. But Saturn wants you to actually bring these dreams to life, to bring these fantasies to life. And if you have a look closer at the chart here, Venus and Saturn, and also North Node and Mercury, are making this trine to Mars. In fact, it's a perfect trine because we've got Mars at 25 degrees Cancer. So this is asking you to take action, to be assertive. And I repeat, this first conjunction that we saw take place was on the 19th of January, and then the third one will be on the 25th of April. So whatever you are committing to around the 7th of April, whatever you're working on, whatever agreements you're making, whatever boundaries you're setting, whatever promises that you're making to yourself or to another person, it'll probably take you well until the end of April to enact these or to actually get the ball rolling, especially because Venus is retrograde. Now, if you've been working on a creative project, if you have been meditating, doing yoga, or just anything 12th house in nature, especially as it dates back to January, this can see you refining that, working harder, putting in more effort, and then the fruits of your labor can be seen later in the month on the 25th of April. I know I'm going to be jumping around a little bit in the timeline, but seeing as we're talking about the Venus-Saturn conjunction, I just want to make sure that we cover everything in this one segment, okay? So here on the 25th of April, we've got Venus conjunct Saturn, but this time it's at 27 degrees. So before at 25 degrees, this was the Aries degree. So this is about being assertive, taking action, doing something physical, maybe physical with your body, such as your yoga practice, meditation practice, or initiating something. Whereas the 27 degrees, which is the Gemini degree, is about communication, social media, teamwork, maybe education, teaching, etc. So whatever your Venus-Saturn conjunction story has in store for you, I have no doubt that there's going to be an element of breaking new ground, trying something new for the first time, and then collaborating with other people, upskilling in terms of education, new skill sets, maybe taking on an apprenticeship, or actually completing a project and then, let's say, distributing it so that other people can see it, and maybe that is online or in a group or in some kind of workshop. So moving along, on the 7th of April as well, so same day, maybe I should have started with this day, we've got Mercury stationing direct in Pisces at 26 degrees. So Mercury has been retrograde since the 15th of March. And at first, Mercury started off retrograde in Aries, in your sign, so that's in your first house. So for the first 7 days of April, you'll still be very much experiencing Mercury retrogradisms. And I'm filming during Mercury retrograde right now, and I'm double Mercury ruled. So nevertheless, how this can play out for you is that information that has been hidden may come to light, especially because Mercury is retrograde in your 12th house. So this can be unearthing secrets, having information revealed to you, confiding in another person, or having another person confide in you. This can also be a time where you find things that you've lost, especially if they're small. I know that sounds strange, but Mercury rules over anything that is small. Venus is also retrograde as well, so this can be like coming across documents that you've been looking for, missing jewelry, or just like little things, even like, I don't know, a lipstick or your favorite pen. You can find these once Mercury and Venus go direct. In any case, Mercury retrograde here in your 12th house can indicate that you have been really getting to the root cause of why am I self-sabotaging? Why does this thing that I want to bring into the world, this project that I want to complete or start, keep encountering obstacles? How do I overcome these external obstacles or these internal obstacles and blockages? And Mercury going direct in Pisces can really help you to, like I said, get to the bottom of that. And the post-shadow period will conclude on the 27th of April. So if you've been experiencing miscommunications with other people, co-workers, clients, friends, anyone that you do business with, or even children as well, your, let's say, breakdown in communications with these individuals can finally be resolved. If not around the 7th of April, then certainly towards the end of April and moving into early May. Okay, so on the 13th of April, Venus is going to station direct in Pisces at 24 degrees. So Venus has been retrograde since the 2nd of March. It did start off at 10 degrees Aries, so that was in your first house. And with this, you can see there being the conclusion of a creative project, or perhaps you, during this time, which is about 6-7 weeks, may have picked an old project back up. This can see you completing like a writing project, whether that's to do with poetry or music. This can also see you actually achieving peace and harmony in a relationship that has been out of balance, especially because we've got Venus ruling over your 7th house. So for some of you, this could be with your second-born child. For others of you, this could be with your significant other or with your spouse or with a business partner or a client. Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces. On the other hand, Mercury is in fall. Long story long, relationships can come more into balance. You can achieve peace, harmony, and any disagreements that you had with other people have a much better chance of being ironed out during this time if you are signing contracts or documents, whether this is for a new employer, signing on a new employee, or perhaps even purchasing real estate, selling real estate, any agreements that you make with other people between, let's say, March and early to mid-April are definitely subject to change. So the terms of the agreement can change. There can be renegotiations taking place, changes in the let's say the end result financially speaking, and also anything that has a deadline or a due date on it can change during this time. If it is set during the retrograde period, it's likely to be shifted. Okay, so moving on to the 13th of April, this is where we're going to see a full moon in Libra take place. So this is occurring in Libra at 23 degrees and it is in your 7th house. When we have new moons or full moons in the 7th house, 4th house, 10th house, and certainly the 1st house, they always impact us in some way. The Aries individuals who will be the most impacted will be those around 23 degrees plus or minus 5 degrees. So that's 18 degrees through till 28 degrees. This full moon is exactly conjunct the fixed star speaker, that is SPICA. It is the fixed star of beauty and creativity. And so in a way, it's a very auspicious full moon. Beyonce has speaker conjunct her Ascendant, I think it is, and a lot of people who have, I'm not going to go into it, just know that it is a sign that bestows great abundance, prosperity, and artistic talent. So with this full moon in Libra, at 23 degrees conjunct speaker, this can see you completing a creative project or releasing something out into the world. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some difficult aspects that this full moon is making. On one hand, it's precisely opposite Chiron, which you can see here also at 23 degrees. And this full moon is making a pretty tight T-square to Mars in Cancer at 27 degrees. So that means that your 1st house, your 7th house, and your 4th house are all being activated Aries. Full moons are all about completion, something coming to fruition, letting go of something, and even information coming to light. So with this involvement of this fixed star of abundance and beauty and creativity, and it also has strong ties to women and the divine feminine, making this square to Mars, there can be some kind of pain in releasing a creative project or feeling like something that you are passionate about or even really talented in is not being recognized by someone in your life. On a different level, the opposition to Chiron indicates that maybe there is healing in a creative outlet, or there is great healing that takes place in acknowledging a relationship with a female member of your family that has been out of balance. And look, you know, full moon, Libra themes are all about fairness, balance, harmony, peace, as well as partnerships, marriages, agreements, and contracts. So this full moon in Libra in your 7th house can see you maybe just having to let go of a contract. Sorry, can't do business with you anymore. Sorry, can't work together with you anymore. Sorry, having to let you go from this company. This can also be friendships, because 23 degrees is the Aquarius degree. And, you know, for a select few of you, this could also be to do with your romantic relationship. I just want to note that this full moon is trining Jupiter in Gemini in your third house, which is a very redeeming factor. Whatever is occurring with this full moon, whatever's coming to light, whatever is falling away, it is for your best and highest good. It is allowing you to expand, transform, and just shift to a higher vibration or a higher frequency. So then the next day, we've got the Saturn-North Node conjunction occurring, and this will be in Pisces, also in your 12th house. It's at 26 degrees. This conjunction only takes place once every 11 to 12 years. So that means that it is a new 11-year cycle that is taking place for you. So we've already talked about what Saturn rules over: discipline, structure, restrictions, delays, challenges, boundaries, and the ability to say no, as well as binding obligations and agreements. The North Node has a totally different energy, totally different flavor. It's ambitious in nature. It's experimental. It wants to try new things. It wants to take risks. It has a sexual energy to it, and also this proclivity to acquire resources and to want more. It's a very insatiable energy. So to have this North Node Saturn conjunction in your 12th house can indicate that you may have to put a hard stop to some gratuitous overspending. Again, there are themes here which point to reducing your substance use or intake of one thing or another. On a different note, this can see you smashing through fears and insecurities, because the North Node energy allows you to take risks, whereas Saturn is, you know, our inhibitions, and it also has its place with fears and insecurities. So the North Node is like, let's make our dreams a reality. Let's take this risk. And for some of you, this can see you making a decision to relocate abroad. And for others of you, you may actually see the dissolving of a previously binding obligation or commitment, because the 12th house in Pisces energy dissolves that. It can dissolve that commitment, which is Saturnian in nature. If you start some kind of creative project during this time, so the 14th of April, plus or minus a few days or even a week or two, this can see it having a long-lasting impact. Or maybe if you're pursuing something new, creatively speaking, you can be quite enamored with this, or really refine your artistic technique over the years to come, because the 12th house rules over music, the fine arts, poetry. It also rules over yoga and meditation, so you may be taking up a yoga or meditation practice as well. And whatever you are taking up with respect to these 12th house Piscean themes, you're likely to have a lot of passion and energy to channel into that. So on the 18th of April, what we're going to see is Mars entering the sign of Leo. Now, Mars is direct, of course, from the end of February. That concludes, I think it was, how long was it? It was from December, so nearly a 3-month retrograde period. So you may want to actually reflect on what you started around early November 2024 when Mars first entered Leo, or maybe even what you commenced around early December when Mars first stationed retrograde in Leo, because this can see you circling back around. Maybe you're refining certain skills, maybe you have more energy to channel this into something in your life. Mars will be transiting your 5th house for the next couple of months until mid-June. So the 5th house is romance, dating, creativity, starting your own business, as well as children. Mars transiting your 5th house can see you entering into a new relationship, or dating someone, or just re-entering the dating world again. Maybe you're wanting to start a family, you're trying to conceive or expand your family further. This can see you starting a new business, starting a new creative project, taking up a new sport, or perhaps this can see you starting up a new sexual relationship too. Now, moving on to the new moon, which is at the end of the month. So this will be in Taurus, and it's on the 27th. The new moon in Taurus is occurring at 7 degrees in your second house. New moons are all about a new chapter taking place, but it's like planting the seeds. It's the idea phase. It's taking that first step, or even just setting our intentions for what we want to see, be brought into the world, whether that's manifesting in your life or a new stream of income. The second house rules over finances, resources, cooking, gardening, agriculture. It is another creative house as well. Now, with this particular new moon, what we can see here is that it is the apex of a T-square between Pluto and Mars. So Pluto and Mars made an exact opposition just hours earlier at 3 degrees. So that means that there is tension, drive, ambition, excitement, power, like a powerful pull or pressure to start something new. So, this doesn't need to be negative when we see a Mars-Pluto opposition. Sometimes it's just a powerful driving force to take action, to get the ball rolling, to change our circumstances for the better. Okay, this is about a transformational energy, as is Pluto's primary function. So the second house is finances, resources, all of these things that I've said just before. So this can see you wanting to introduce a new stream of income, wanting to introduce a new budget in your life and stick to it, maybe getting into things like cooking, gardening. This can see you maybe committing to making enhancements or improvements to the lower half of your face. So for some of you, this can be to do with teeth, maybe getting them straightened, whitened, or certain dental work. You could be committing to certain dental work. For others of you, maybe this is some kind of cosmetic procedure, just as an example. Ultimately, 7 degrees is the Libra degree, and so it is about balance and symmetry. So this is actually really good if you're doing some kind of enhancement to your physical appearance. And don't get me wrong, this can be hair, makeup, your wardrobe as well. Libra energy and Taurus energy is very much to do with beauty, and Libra is more to do with fashion than Taurus. But in any case, this can see you wanting to invest in a new wardrobe, furniture, resources, etc. Doesn't have to be, fashion related. This can even be certain assets or resources, such as investing in gold or silver, just as an example. So I repeat, the new moon is on the 27th of April, but we can feel its effects 1 to 2 weeks before and after the new moon. So Aries, if you enjoyed this horoscope and you'd like to see more content on this channel, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hi Taurus Sun, Moon and Risings, welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. Your sign continues to be heavily activated this month, and that's because Venus is retrograde in Pisces pretty much from the end of March, so that's the 27th of March, through till the 13th of April. So Venus is your ruling planet anytime it enters a new sign, anytime it's involved in a conjunction, and certainly anytime it's retrograde, it's going to be having an impact on you and your life. So we've also got Mercury retrograde as well through till the 7th of April. So both being in Pisces, which is in your 11th house. So I'm going to talk about both of these planets being retrograde in your 11th house for a moment. The 11th house is all about your wider network, your long-term goals and dreams for the future, your passive forms of income, as well as awards, rewards, accolades, and it's really a house that helps you connect with other people. It's a very social house, and it's also associated with social media and anyone that's, let's say, part of your audience. So on YouTube, that's your audience there. On Instagram, that's your followers, and so on and so forth. So to have both Mercury and Venus doubly retrograde in your 11th house indicates that you are really reevaluating your friendships, your collaborators, your clients, your online presence, whether that is your website, your social media accounts, and so on and so forth. If you've been waiting on a passive form of income to come through or money from someone else, you can see this hitting your bank account during the retrograde period. So if someone owes you money and you've given them a lot of grace, I wouldn't be shy to reach out to them and be like, hey, just wondering when can I expect this money being paid to me or returned to me or what have you. I would just say, keep an eye on your pay slips. Just make sure that you are being paid the correct amount. Okay, so on a different note, this can see you doing a pretty major pivot when it comes to any groups that you're part of, communities that you're part of, as well as your long-term goals and dreams for the future. So you may just be fine-tuning these or just changing direction completely. And for a lot of people who know you as a Taurus, when Taurines do this, which is like every few years, when they change direction, when they just take a hard left, other people can find this to be very surprising and very shocking, because Taurians are known for just being straighty 180 and persevering with this path, with this job, with this relationship. And so you may surprise yourself. You may find yourself being shocked at what you feel inclined to pursue or connections that you want to let go of, and so on and so forth. Also on the 7th of April, so just backtracking for a moment, we've got the Venus-Saturn conjunction taking place, and this will be at 25 degrees Pisces in your 11th house. So first of all, this is the second conjunction that these two planets are making. The first one was on the 19th of January this year, and there will be a third one on the 25th of April. In any case, I repeat, Venus is your ruling planet and it is involved in these three conjunctions. So this indicates to me that at some point in January or April, or maybe even in between, you have decided that there's something new that you want to pursue. A new long-term goal, a new long-term project, a new community that you want to join, a community that you want to form, and maybe new streams of income that are passive in nature. All this can see you collaborating with other people, working with other people, maybe starting a new online social media account. So again, this could be TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, whatever the other ones are, I don't know off the top of my head. These are the major ones that I can think of. So in any case, whatever's happening around the 7th of April, it's not likely that you're going to be finishing it then. It may be more towards the end of April when we've got that third conjunction between Venus and Saturn. And so with this one occurring on the 7th of April, it is at 25 degrees. This is the Aries degree. So maybe this is you involving your body somehow, like your physical body. So for example, starting up like a fitness YouTube channel. On a different note, this can see you taking a risk, trying something new that you've never tried before, or perhaps starting a new group or community that is revolving around Aries themes. Okay, so this is like fitness, change, self-development, independence, or perhaps this is just you traversing new territory. So like I said, that's on the 7th of April. Mercury is direct on the 7th of April. Venus is direct on the 13th of April. Also on the 13th of April, we've got a full moon occurring, and this will be in the sign of Libra at 23 degrees. So it's occurring in your 6th house, and full moons are all about letting go of something or something coming back around, coming full circle. This can be a revelation that's taking place, or just like an epiphany or an aha moment. This particular full moon is conjunct the fixed star Spica, which is the fixed star of prosperity, abundance, and great creative talent. And it is opposite Chiron in Aries at 23 degrees, so that's an exact opposition. And the full moon is making a tight T-square to Mars in Cancer, which is in your 3rd house. So because the full moon's occurring in your 6th house, many of you Taurians will be letting go of a job, walking away from a daily work process. Okay, so letting go of maybe some part of your daily work task or your weekly tasks. Some of you may be letting go of an employee. In some instances, maybe an employee is coming back around. If there has been some kind of confusion over what action to take with a pet, maybe you will be getting clarification around this time. You may be reunited with your pet. There may be a decision which is finalized. So for example, if your pet requires some kind of new medication or surgery and you've been on the fence about it, you can be making that firm decision around the 13th of April. On a different note, you may be adopting a pet, rescuing a pet, or if I didn't say it already, reuniting with an animal, with a pet of yours, I mean to say. The 6th house rules over debts and things like mortgages, so you may be paying off a debt, you may be paying off a mortgage, or maybe someone is buying you out. So for example, if you jointly own a property with someone else, maybe they're buying you out, or maybe you're buying them out. This can see you, let's say, reaching some kind of climax with a conflictual situation or some kind of disagreement in your life. And I say that because the 6th house rules over discord and conflicts, Libra rules over partnerships and agreements, and then we've got this tight square to Mars in your 3rd house. So this could be to do with extended relatives, family, siblings, aunties, uncles, or perhaps this is not being able to agree on what action you should take when it comes to something to do with property and real estate, because we've got Mars in Cancer. But this full moon is like, okay, let's both come to the table. Let's find a way to agree. And if you have a look here, the full moon is actually making a trine to Jupiter. So it's allowing you to expand beyond this conflict, to reach a resolution, and to put some kind of long-standing issue to bed. Okay, so the next day, on the 14th of April, Saturn is going to form a conjunction with the North Node in Pisces in your 11th house at 26 degrees. This only happens every 11 to 12 years. So this is a new 11-year cycle that is commencing for you, Taurus. So again, we're seeing this activation to your 11th house. I promise you, during April and even in March, you will be thinking about passive forms of income, residual forms of income, your wider network, your friendships, who you want to collaborate with, what kind of online social media presence you want to have. You'll be thinking about your big goals and dreams for the future. You'll be thinking about, are you being rewarded for the efforts that you're putting in? Is this relationship in balance? Is this the right way to approach this dream of mine or this project? And some of you may be committing to some kind of long-term dream or project which could take many years to actually unfold and or to bring to fruition. And if you have a look here with the conjunction between Saturn and the North Node, we've also got Venus here, we've also got Mercury here, and it's making a beautiful sextile to Uranus in Taurus, as well as a trine to Mars in Cancer. So this can see the resources that you need, the inspiration that you need, the creative impulses that you've been desiring finally pulling through with this conjunction, because Saturn rules over delays and challenges and restrictions and blockages, but the North Node is like, ambition, new energy, take a risk, let's get the ball rolling. And I really feel like that sextile to Uranus is just like removing boundaries and allowing you to set forth with whatever objectives you have. Okay, so On the 18th of April, Mars will enter the sign of Leo, and it'll be there for a couple of months until mid-June, which means it's transiting your 4th house. So you may want to look back at, what was I thinking about and doing back in early November when Mars first entered Leo, or early December when Mars first stationed retrograde in Leo, because these themes that you were focusing on, these things that you wanted to take action on or that you commenced or started around that time, can be circling back around for you come the 18th of April for a couple of months. The 4th house rules over your home life, property, living circumstances, family. So Mars transiting your 4th house can see you maybe wanting to facilitate buying a property, selling a property, getting a new investment property, relocating, even if that's to another rental or just somewhere else, making significant headway when it comes to renovations with your property. Maybe this can see you wanting to start a family. For some of you, this can indicate there being tensions running high with family members or even flatmates or anyone that you live with. In any case, Mars is strong in the sign of Leo, and it is squaring you as a Taurus rising sun or moon. So when Mars squares our rising sun or moon, we want to take action, we want to set goals, and we're swinging big with this. Okay, so on the 25th of April, we did already discuss Venus forming its 3rd and final conjunction with Saturn in Pisces for the year. I'll just quickly bring that up on the chart. Sorry, my voice is already starting to go. Anyway, so you can see here 27 degrees, it's conjunct the moon and North Node, and it's making a sextile to Uranus as well. So this can see you putting some kind of, I don't want to say final piece of the puzzle together with a long-term project or goal, but it's like, okay, now I can take action. Now I have the resources. I know what direction I want to go in. And so there can be some kind of decision that you make around this time, which is very formative or instructive, or which influences your long-term goals and dreams for the future. On the 27th of April, this is when we'll see a new moon in Taurus take place at 7 degrees, and it's making a tight T-square to Pluto and Mars. Okay, so Pluto in Aquarius, Mars in Leo, as you can see here on the screen. New moons are all about a new chapter taking place, planting the seeds, setting the intentions, and when it is in our sign, we feel it. Of course, the Taurians who will feel it the most strongly will be those around the 7-degree mark, plus or minus 5 degrees. So let's say 2 degrees up till about, come on, math, Cailin, 12 degrees. But in any case, you may feel it, okay? Especially if you have Mercury around that degree, or Venus, as a lot of Taurians do, myself included. So ultimately, this is a great time to set new intentions, journal, speak into existence that which it is that you want to, or whatever it is that you want to manifest. You may feel a strong impulse or pressure to make a very important decision or change in your life. So with the new moon occurring in your 1st house, this can be to do with my path in life, my appearance. If you're a Taurus sun, this could be about your career, your big goals and dreams for the future. If you're a Taurus moon, this can be about your relationships, whether these are with family, your children, your mother, your significant other, or anyone that you live with. If you're a Taurus moon, you may feel a pressurized need to actually make an important decision about your property and living circumstances, or making decisions on behalf of your family, or feeling like your family are pressuring you to make a decision. So look, it is on the 27th of April, and the energy can be felt 1 to 2 weeks before the new moon and 1 to 2 weeks after the new moon. Taurus season will begin at about the 21st of April. So happy Taurus season, happy birthday to my fellow Taurians, which includes me, although I'm a May Taurus baby. In any case, Taurus, if you enjoyed this horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hi Gemini, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. As the month starts off, Mercury, which is our ruling planet, is still going to be retrograde in the sign of Pisces. Mercury does not like to be in the sign of Pisces, so I do have to say that Mercury retrogrades are most difficult when they are in Pisces and sometimes in Virgo as well, because then it squares Geminis. I digress. Mercury will be direct once more on the 7th of April. Okay, so from the 7th of April onwards, this is when things can start to calm down for Geminis. And if there's been some confusion about your career, your public profile, your public presence, how you want to be seen in the world, Mercury going direct once more can see you making peace with certain things and having clarity on what direction you want to go in, especially as it relates to business matters. Okay, so on a different note, let me just clarify these dates. So Mercury is retrograde from the 15th of March till the 7th of April, and it will retrograde from Aries back into Pisces as of the 27th of March, and the post-shadow period will conclude on the 27th of April. So trust me, come the end of April, you won't be feeling like there's any Mercury retrogradisms happening anymore. Okay, so also on the 7th of April, we are going to see the Venus-Saturn conjunction taking place, and this one is at 25 degrees. Now, Venus and Saturn formed a conjunction on the 19th of January at 16 degrees, and there will be a third conjunction that they are forming on the 25th of April. So your 10th house, our 10th house, because I'm a Gemini rising, is so activated. And when our 10th house is activated, guess what? This is when huge life change is happening. Now, the 10th house isn't only your career and your public status. Anything massive that happens in your life, I'm talking becoming a parent, getting married, getting divorced, having a book published, getting a new job, all of this stuff, even retiring. For this to take place, there has to be an activation to your 10th house. And because we've got Mercury retrograde there, Venus retrograde there, a double Venus-Saturn conjunction there in the 10th house, plus a Saturn-North Node conjunction there in the 10th house, you can bet your bottom dollar that there is some kind of major chapter that's closing or starting or both in the month of April. In any case, this can see you making a commitment or making a promise to another person. This can be romantically, this can be going into business with another person, this can be to do with a client, this can be starting a business with a friend, or signing important paperwork or documentation, or applying for some kind of government approval or visa. Okay, so as in like citizenship or something that you need in order to relocate abroad. Okay, and there's other reasons that I'm saying this as well, such as the Saturn-North Node conjunction. Moving along, on the 13th of April, this is when we will see Venus stationing direct in Pisces at 24 degrees in your 12th house. Venus first stationed retrograde on the 2nd of March in Aries, and in your 11th house that is, and the post-shadow period will not conclude until the 16th of March. So with Venus having been retrograde in your 11th house / 10th house, there could have just been, let's say, confusion about your romantic status with another person, because Venus rules over your 5th house, which is Libra. And so with Venus going direct in your 10th house, this can see you potentially making the status of an important core relationship public. So this can be romantic. Yeah, I'm dating that guy. Or yeah, we went through a breakup. Or maybe this is to do with an important business collaboration or connection that you are making official in some kind of capacity. So also on the 13th of April, we're going to see the full moon in Libra take place, and this is at 27 degrees. It is in your 5th house, which means it is trining you. And I've only just realized that this is going to be trining me. Yay! So with this full moon occurring in the 5th house, it is conjunct Spica, which is the fixed star of beauty and creativity, and it is also associated with good fortune and abundance. And the 5th house is a very creative house. So full moons are all about revelations coming to light, chapters coming to a close, or completion, some kind of fruition, right? So something reaching fruition, I mean to say. So the full moon in the 5th house is also going to be making an opposition to Chiron, which you can see there at 23 degrees, and a tense T-square with Mars. Boo. But hey, it's still trining Jupiter, which is great, and it's trining you, which is also great. So ultimately, this can see you maybe launching a new business, maybe completing a creative project or something artistic in nature, having a breakthrough with a hobby or a passion of yours. This can see you clearing the air with your children or one of your children. This can see you having a very clarifying conversation with your significant other. And look, the trine to Jupiter is helpful, it's beneficial, it is showing us that you can move beyond this conflict that you may be experiencing. And this could be, like I said, with a child or with your significant other. But for others of you, this can be like a fear surrounding, I don't want people to see my painting or my artwork, but people keep asking me to, showcase it or, have some kind of exhibition for your art. So ultimately, you will experience a tense push and pull energy. This can be with your children, your significant other, something to do with owning your own business or starting your own business, or something to do with your leisure time, me time, and your hobbies and your passions and creative projects. But there is some kind of pushback here. Maybe it's hard to actually get this thing off the ground or complete it, or to just release it out into the ether. Ultimately, full moon conjunct Spica tells me that this is a highly, highly creative time for you. I repeat, this is the 13th of April, but this energy can be with you, 1 to 2 weeks before, if not after the full moon. So next day, oh, yeah, did that change screen? Yeah, Saturn-North Node conjunction. And this is occurring at 26 degrees Pisces in your 10th house. This only happens once every 11 to 12 years, which means it's a big deal because it's a new 11-year cycle that is starting for you. And again, this is in your 10th house, which means that some of you could be starting a new job, working for a new employer, getting a promotion, changing job title. Some of you could be launching your business. Some of you could be employing someone to work for you, and maybe this is a new step for you. 26 degrees is the Taurus degree, so this can be an increase in pay, finance, income, resources. And for others of you, you could be investing in your career, investing in something which is going to lay the foundation for your work and being of service. And even if you're retired, we've got notes for you too. Okay, so this could be, what are you doing after retirement? Are you wanting to give back to the community? Are you wanting to share your knowledge? Are you wanting to, or are you stepping into the role of being responsible for your parents or becoming a grandparent? Or are you wanting to start up some kind of fundraising or non-for-profit event or movement? Saturn conjunct the North Node in the 10th house regardless of, if you're retired Gemini, you're working, Gemini rising, sun or moon. This to me indicates that you're doing something which is ambitious in nature, which sees you taking a risk, which sees you trying something new, which sees you going out alone or sticking your neck out and doing something which is showcasing you as being a go-getter, a goal setter, and very independent in nature. But the Saturnian side is like it requires discipline, structure. There may be delays or challenges that are associated with whatever new chapter you're starting in the month of April. So the sign of Pisces is about our dreams and our fantasies, and Saturn is like, can you finally materialize this and bring this to life? Because I know a lot of Geminis, myself included, who just get stuck up in the ideas phase and brainstorming, because let's be real, that's the funnest part of it, isn't it? When you're just like, we could do this and we could do that. But Saturn will be like, okay, enough talking, time to commit. And so there may be an exciting new opportunity that presents itself around mid-April, or even let's just say April as it is. Okay, so moving along to the 18th of April. This is when Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo. It will be transiting your third house. I'm quite happy for Mars to be leaving the sign of Cancer because, let's be real, Mars performs a lot better in the sign of Leo, and it will be sextiling you as a Gemini sun, moon, and rising. So it'll be here for a couple of months until mid-June, and you may want to cast your mind back to early November when Mars first entered Leo, or even early December when Mars first stationed retrograde, because whatever's happening between mid-April, mid-June, you can, be sure that it is associated with something that you were thinking about or considering or contemplating around November, December last year, or even September, October as well, because the Mars retrograde was in Cancer and Leo, and Mars first entered Cancer in September of 2024. So something is coming back around, it's coming full circle. The third house is about education, teamwork, upskilling, short-term education courses, short-term travel, vehicles, course content, social media, friends, clients, co-workers, sales, blah, 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 etc., etc. So these are themes that you will be revisiting. It's a great time to upskill, enroll in an education course, create your own course. Maybe you're becoming a teacher, maybe you're stepping into the role of supervisor or manager, and you're going to be spearheading a team. This can see some of you, has to be said, experiencing conflict or discord with siblings, extended relatives such as aunties and uncles, or maybe even friends, co-workers and clients, but it's still sextiling you. Mars is still happy to be in the sign of Leo, but I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. Okay, so on the 25th of April, this is when we're going to see the third and final Venus-Saturn conjunction. We've already talked about it, but I'll just show it up on the screen here for you. You can see Venus and Saturn conjunct at 27 degrees Pisces. Look, we've also got the North Node and the Moon here, which is kind of exciting. And this is all making a sextile to Uranus and Taurus, which will be in your 12th house. So this can see you actually getting the green light to move forward with a project, with a collaboration. This can see you securing the contract or finally getting onto the same page with someone that you are trying to work with, do business with, or make important decisions with that have a long-term, long-lasting impact. Okay, so lastly for the month, on the 27th of April, we have a new moon in Taurus. It's at 7 degrees. It is in your 12th house. When we have new moons in the 12th house, sometimes they don't really manifest in a tangible way. It can just be like, what's happening upstairs or what's happening subconsciously. But in any case, a new moon is about planting new seeds and setting new intentions for something. Okay, this new moon is making a super tight T-square to Pluto and Mars. But fortunately, Pluto and Mars are both in harmonious aspect to you. In any case, a new moon in the 12th house can indicate that you are maybe starting a new creative project. This could be to do with photography, film, music, acting, poetry. On a different note, this can see you starting a new chapter with maybe a yoga practice and taking that up, or meditation, something to do with sound healing, astrology, tarot. In any case, this can see you experiencing deep healing, connecting to your intuition, maybe having an amazing reading with someone like an astrologer, like a tarot reader, like a psychic medium, or just feeling super inspired and connected to your own creative impulses. So it is a good time to start creative projects, and it is a good time to start maybe doing some like research into astrology or an esoteric or occult practice. Okay, so I repeat, the new moon in Taurus is on the 27th of April, and the effects of the new moon can be felt 1 to 2 weeks before or after the new moon. Okay, Gemini, that's all I have for you for April. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, Gemini, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hi Cancer, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. So as we enter the month, we've still got Mercury retrograde in Pisces and Venus retrograde in Pisces. Fortunately for you, these two planets are trining you from the 9th house. So this can see you really rethinking your belief systems, spiritual, religious, political, philosophical, and so on and so forth. Some of you may be changing your studies as it relates to your higher education. Some of you may be going back to school, back to college, back to university to study. And for others of you, this can see you maybe just pushing the pause button on your studies for a while. Maybe this is so you can travel, or you just need to sort out some personal things. So ultimately, it's a double retrograde in your 9th house, but Mercury will be direct once more on the 7th of April, and this will be at 26 degrees in your 9th house. But I do have to say the post-shadow period will not conclude until the 27th of April. Okay, so that means that you can still be ironing out your plans as it relates to studies around this time. Be remiss of me not to talk about travel, because the 9th house is associated with travel, interstate as well as international, not so much domestic. Not so much like local travel is what I mean to say. So if you have plans to travel during the Mercury retrograde, or even, getting through till the end of April, you may need to change your flights. Maybe you're getting upgraded. Maybe you need to pick different seats a different day. Your flight may be delayed. Or maybe you're just like, hey, I'm enjoying my holiday and I want to extend my trip. For a select few of you, you may have to return earlier than you had previously intended from an interstate or an overseas trip. But in any case, I repeat, this Mercury retrograde is trining you, Venus is trining you, so it's a lot easier energy to handle than when, we're being squared by a planet or opposed. Moving along, on the 7th of April, we're going to see Venus forming a conjunction with Saturn in Pisces, and this is in your 9th house at 25 degrees. The first conjunction that Venus and Saturn made was on the 19th of January, and it will make a third conjunction on the 25th of April at 27 degrees. So the 9th house we've just covered is about travel. It's about your belief systems as well as your dharma. It relates to your higher faith. So whatever it is that you believe in, it relates to being optimistic, teachers, mentors, and counseling as well. So having Venus conjunct Saturn here in the 9th house can indicate that you may be making important decisions about really education, travel, and your long-term vision for your future. Like, what are your dreams? What are your aspirations? And the ninth house doesn't really care about the financial side of things or the, pragmatic steps or the practical steps that you need to take. That's more 11th house territory. The ninth house is like, if no one gave a crap and money wasn't an object, what would you be doing with your life? And so to have Venus, which is like love, relationships, romance, creativity, what does your heart desire, conjunct Saturn in the ninth house, like having this conjunction together here indicates that you can bring this to fruition. Saturn is like, with correct planning and strategy, we can make this happen. So whatever is going on for you around the 7th of April, it can involve your plans with other people, so foreigners overseas, maybe a lover overseas as well. And for some of you, this is to do with your education plans too. Maybe this is like, I want to go to culinary school, I want to learn the fine arts, I want to enroll in a long-term or higher education program. And so you're just trying to like piece together how you can make that a reality. So on the 13th of April, this is when we're going to see Venus going direct in Pisces at 24 degrees in your ninth house. So we've already really covered the ninth house energy and Mercury being direct there and Venus being direct. This can see, with Venus ruling over your 11th house as well as your 4th house, maybe finalizing or clarifying certain connections with friendships or older siblings. Okay, so Venus ruling the 11th house could see you maybe having or experiencing friendships being out of balance, and then with Venus being direct once more in your ninth house, it's like, okay, we can smooth things over. You may be getting really good advice from a friend. That's another way that that can play out, or from an older sibling as well. I'm inclined to say sister, although it doesn't have to be necessarily. And with Venus ruling over your 4th house, this can see you deciding finally what it is that you want to do with an interstate move or an international move, or a move that requires a lot of planning, so to speak. So on the 13th of April, same day, what we're going to see is the full moon conjunct the star speaker in Libra at 23 degrees. Okay, so full moon in Libra conjunct the fixed star, I mean to say, and speaker is associated with creativity, abundance, and it's also a star that is associated with women and women's rights as well. In any case, it is opposing Chiron at 23 degrees, which is kind of challenging, and it's making a T-square to Mars in Cancer. So we've got some really hard aspects there. I don't want to sugarcoat things. When we see full moons like this, we can expect there to be some kind of tension or push and pull energy. This can either involve other people, so maybe they have different goals to you, different plans for you, different recommendations on what action to take and move and direction to move in. Or sometimes this can be an internalized conflict. I want to go this way, but I feel guilty. I want to do this, but these people are going to judge me. Or it can just be that you have two amazing goals that you want to pursue, or things you want to take action on with equal love and vigor and passion, but a compromise is required, or it's like you can't have both things at once somehow. In any case, this is occurring in your 4th house, Cancer, and then it's squaring Mars in Cancer in your 1st house. So to me, this feels like you get the final say with Mars in Cancer. It's because that is the apex of the full moon. So I don't want to say the full decision lies with you, but it could be that it's your goals, it's the action that you want to take that's kind of ruffling the feathers of someone that you are in connection with or partnership with. This can be to do with your family, your significant other, your children, your flatmates, or even a friend as well. because it is the sign of Libra after all. So in saying that, there is this alleviating energy with the full moon making a trine to Jupiter in Gemini in your 12th house. So I do see you very much being able to move beyond any challenging set of circumstances that you experience, but there may just be this peak moment of discomfort or just tension in one or more of your relationships around the 13th of April. Can be plus or minus 1 to 2 weeks, but the closer to the 13th of April, the more you may be feeling that tension, especially because of the T-square with Mars. Okay, so moving along, on the 14th of April, this is when Saturn will conjunct the North Node in Pisces at 26 degrees in your 9th house. This only happens once every 11 to 12 years. The last one was in September of 2013. So what's exciting about this conjunction is that it is trining Mars in Cancer at 28 degrees in your 1st house. And even if Mars wasn't there, it's trining you. So the Cancers who will feel it the most will be those around 26, 28 degrees, or even 21 up to 29 degrees. This particular conjunction occurring in your 9th house indicates that you are wanting to set goals, take risks, experiment, or do something that others may perceive to be selfish of you. Okay, so this may ruffle some feathers, or on a different note, they may just see you as like, wow, look how independent they are. They're doing this amazing thing. They're taking this leap of faith. Yeah, leap of faith sounds right as I'm saying this, because the North Node is this experimental energy, and the 9th house is that higher faith. So some of you may be taking action that requires that leap of faith. It requires you to just have an open mind, see the glass as half full. But whatever you are starting around mid-April, so around the 14th of April, it can require structure, a clear plan, strong boundaries in place so that you can manifest this thing into your life. And for some of you, this could be to do with pursuing a visa, citizenship, dual citizenship. For others of you, you may require government approval to pursue something in your life that relates to international travel or even interstate travel. Maybe you are actually bringing a lawsuit against another person. This could be like a lobby action as well. On a different note, this can see you committing to learning a new language. Maybe it's a very random language as well. And for others of you, this could be actually enrolling in some form of higher education, or perhaps your master's or your thesis work is on a controversial topic. Now, on the 18th of April, this is when we're going to see Mars enter the sign of Leo. So you may want to cast your mind back to early November when Mars first entered Leo last year, or even early December when Mars first stationed retrograde in Leo, because there may be some kind of coming full circle moment. In fact, I'm pretty sure there will be. And ultimately, Mars will be in Leo in your 2nd house from the 18th of April for 2 months until mid-June. So this can see you pursuing a new stream of income. Maybe you're doing a massive clear out of your wardrobe and of your possessions and valuables. This can be a very expensive time as well, because when Mars goes through the 2nd house, it just blows through cash like there's no tomorrow. But this is also a good time for you to procure certain assets or resources, such as precious metals, because that's what Mars rules over. And for others of you, you may be cutting things out from your diet that are no longer serving you. It is a great time for that. You may not really have a choice. For example, you may discover that you're gluten intolerant, or that you're dairy intolerant, and it's like you just have to cut this out. Do be mindful that this is a time where you can experience acute tooth pain. So I would just preemptively book in a dentist appointment during this period of time. I just realized that I'm scheduling one in and I hadn't aligned it astrologically. It's just going to happen. So that is a good idea for you as well. On the 25th of April, we've already discussed it, but Venus will form its third and final conjunction with Saturn in your 9th house. And then on the 27th of April, there will be a new moon in Taurus, and this will be at 7 degrees in your 11th house, Cancer. The 11th house is about your community, your wider network, passive and residual forms of income, and it also relates to social media, socializing in general, and your long-term goals and dreams for the future that require a plan. So this can see you planting the seeds to bring in some kind of passive or residual form of income, start a new community, join a new community, get involved in some kind of human rights action or movement, especially because this new moon is making a tense T-square to Mars and Cancer, which, by the way, formed their exact opposition hours before the new moon. So you may just feel compelled to either get on board with the program with something to do with your friendship group or your wider network or your community, or you may be like, I need to start my own. This isn't the way, this isn't the path. And so you may be making some important decisions as it relates to your, let's say, the people that you socialize with. And I mentioned it already, but this actually would be a great time to set new intentions for your long-term goals and dreams for the future. Okay, and of course, this new moon will actually be sextiling you as a Cancer sun, moon, or rising. So Cancer, that's all I have for you for April 2025. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Take care and see you next time. Hi Leo, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. As the month begins, we are still under the effects of the solar eclipse that we had at the end of March, Neptune changing signs, moving into Aries for the first time in over 165 years, plus Venus and Mercury will still be retrograde in Pisces in your 8th house. So the way that I would like to describe April is that it is a period of integration, and it's still seeing the dust settle after these big planetary shifts and transits. And because you have this double retrograde in your 8th house, as well as several conjunctions later in the month in your 8th house in Pisces, that means that mutual resources are very much going to be basically at the center of your focus for the month ahead. Now, the 8th house also rules over things like deep research, healing, psychology, anything to do with occult and esoteric topics. Plus, it is the house of sex, death, intimacy, sudden change, transformation, and also, what was the other thing? It's just... it slipped my mind. Anyway, the 8th house rules all of these things and much, much more. So having Mercury retrograde in your 8th house plus Venus can indicate that you are trying to work out your mutual resources, so joint bank accounts, any assets that you share with other people, and also this can see changes in your significant other's income occurring during the month of April, more so between mid-March and I'm going to say the first or second week of April. In any case, because Mercury is retrograde in your 8th house, this can also indicate that certain secrets are coming to light, or information is coming to light, or perhaps something that you believe to be true turns out to be something else entirely. So there may be some deep and even heavy-hitting conversations that you have more so in the first 1 or 2 weeks of the month. So on the 7th of April, Mercury is going to station direct at 26 degrees in Pisces. So this means that things can start to calm down from the 7th of April onwards as it relates to resources that you share with other people, and maybe you'll have some kind of groundbreaking epiphany or realization around that time that allows you to let go of certain fears and insecurities. Also on the 7th of April, we're going to see Venus retrograde forming a conjunction with Saturn in Pisces, and this is at 25 degrees. So I'm just going to pull that one up on the screen here. This will be the second of 3 conjunctions that Venus forms with Saturn. The first one occurred on the 19th of January at 16 degrees. This is the second one. And then the third and final conjunction will be occurring on the 25th of April. So again, this is happening in your 8th house. Venus represents finances and resources. Saturn represents your career plus anything that relates to really solemn vows and promises and long-term contracts. So with Venus conjunct Saturn in the 8th house, you may actually be looking at making a significant financial investment. Perhaps this is one that you were already thinking about or talking about earlier in the year, if not before then, and it could even take you until the end of the month when we have the third and final Venus-Saturn conjunction to really land on a decision here. So for you, Leo, Venus rules over your 10th house, where you've got Taurus, so this could pertain to your career or something to do with your public status and reputation. It also rules over your 3rd house, which is Libra, which relates to contracts. And then for you, we've got Saturn ruling over both your 6th house of work and your 7th house of partnerships and relationships. So if we mash all of this together, it could indicate that you and your significant other are making a very important decision when that involves contracts, sales, or negotiations. This could even be to do with a former partner that relates to the sale of a property or rental income or child support or alimony or something of this nature. And at the end of the day, the 8th house does rule over sudden change and transformation. So it could even be that a promise or a decision that you and another person had made gets turned on its head. So maybe the conditions are shifting, or there's like a heavy renegotiation process that is taking place. So on the 13th of April, we're going to have the full moon in Libra occurring at 23 degrees, and this will be in your 3rd house. So what's interesting about this full moon in Libra is that it is exactly conjunct the fixed star Spica. And Spica, S-P-I-C-A, is the fixed star that is associated with creativity, abundance, prosperity, and artistic talent. This particular full moon is also going to be exactly opposite Chiron in Aries, which is going to be in your 9th house. Okay, so full moons are all about endings, something coming full circle, a chapter reaching its peak or perhaps completion. So for some of you, this could indicate that you are completing or fulfilling some kind of contractual obligation. A collaboration with another person may draw to a close. You may be closing on an important deal or sale. That could be in your professional career, or it could even be important contracts that you are signing, even if it doesn't necessarily relate to your work. This can indicate that a very important conversation is being had with a sibling or perhaps a friend, a co-worker, or an extended relative. Because this full moon is conjunct Spica, to me, despite the opposition to Chiron, which can indicate a lot of pain and woundings coming up, Spica's influence here can show that there's generosity of spirit and an ability to move beyond whatever kind of quarrels or conflicts may arise, given that this particular full moon is also squaring Mars in Cancer, if you can see that there at 27 degrees. But fortunately, it's trining Jupiter in Gemini, which is in your 11th house, which shows that there is an ability to find common ground and to move on from discord as long as both parties are happy to. Okay, so moving along to the 14th of April. So here we have the, actually, forgot to mention, also on the 13th of April, Venus will station direct in Pisces, and that will be at 24 degrees. So this indicates that any kind of discord or, let's say, disagreements that were occurring or just not being on the same page with another person as it relates to mutual resources and finances, etc., can start to dissipate. So if there's been something that you and another person haven't been able to agree on that's been a really big deal that impacts the both of you financially or in terms of your assets and resources, the Venus retrograde period, which again is pretty much all of March and half of April, can see you teasing these things out and finding a way to get onto the same page. Now, for some of you, this can indicate the conclusion of some kind of legal matter where you're finally finding resolution. Doesn't necessarily mean that you and this other person are going to be the best of friends afterwards or hunky-dory. It's more like, okay, we can put this particular topic aside. Okay, and also some of you may have reignited your intimacy or, let's say, the passion within your relationship with your significant other. Or perhaps you have restarted or recommenced a sexual relationship with someone from the past. Okay, so where were we? On the 14th of April, we're going to see the Saturn-North Node conjunction take place in Pisces at 26 degrees, also in your 8th house. So I can tell you that for April, and even, anyway, let's focus on April. For April, the 8th house is what is the most activated for you astrologically speaking. So this is really all about releasing fears, releasing insecurities, overcoming blockages. And I keep parroting on or rabbiting on about mutual resources, but that's just the name of the game for you for April. So this could indicate that you're starting a new business with another person, collaborating with another person, finding a way to increase revenue or streams of income that involve other people. So the Saturn-North Node conjunction is quite rare. So the previous one that we had was in Scorpio in 2013, and the next one that we have will actually be in your sign in Leo, and that will be in 2036. So in April, a new 11-year cycle is beginning for you, and it really does relate to occult knowledge, esoteric knowledge, psychology, money, finances, resources that you share with another person. Plus, for some of you, this could be some really, really deep research that you were doing. So at 26 degrees, this is the Taurus degree. So this could relate to the procurement of assets, your financial income, valuables, what your personal values are. Plus, it could relate to gardening and agriculture for some of you, or even precious jewels, metals, etc., etc. So the energy of the North Node is very experimental. It likes to push the envelope, break barriers, and it's an exploratory, experimental, pioneering kind of energy. But then Saturn wants to cross the T's, dot the I's, and also follow the law to the letter. So these energies are quite opposite in nature, and when we fuse these two energies together, what we get is the ability to, let's say, break new ground and form solid foundations for something that is long lasting, but we're channeling a lot of passion and energy into this. Okay, so I would just say be careful with whatever you're starting around April, especially around the 14th of April, in terms of the legalities. So make sure that you are taking out the appropriate insurance, safeguards, and following the law as much as you can. So not cutting corners is what I really mean to say here. On the 25th of April, we're going to see the third and final conjunction for another year, and this is between Venus and Saturn. So this is taking place at 27 degrees, and as you can see here, the North Node and the Moon are also involved at 25 degrees, and ultimately, to me, it looks like towards the end of the month, you are maybe finalizing something of a legal nature or that requires a financial investment or contribution, or procuring some kind of new resource, or perhaps signing important contracts or documentation. Now, lastly, for the month, on the 27th of April, we're going to have a new moon in Taurus, and this is going to be occurring at 7 degrees. And of course, for you, this will be in your 10th house. Also, I just realized I forgot to go into Mars in Leo, so I'm going to do that after this, just flagging that now so I also don't forget again. Anyway, so on the 27th of April, there's a new moon in Taurus, and this is in your 10th house. So for you, Leo, this can indicate that some kind of new professional development could be occurring, a promotion, a new job, launching a new business, maybe even having a new manager or a new boss come on board. There could be new procedures that you need to follow at work. Maybe your company is merging with another company, or there could be some kind of lucrative opportunity that is available to you. Now, with this new moon occurring in your 10th house for some of you, especially because 7 degrees is the Libra degree, which is partnerships and relationships, you could be signing an important new contract, going into business with another person. A collaboration opportunity could exist. You could actually be getting into a new relationship, so a new romantic relationship, or perhaps you are taking your existing romantic relationship to another level. So an important decision could be made between you and your significant other. Maybe you're getting engaged, maybe you're getting married. And if you can see here, there is a tight T-square with Pluto and Mars. So just a few hours before this new moon takes place, Mars is forming an opposition. And of course, this is now baked into the cake of this new moon in Taurus. So this can indicate that there is some kind of push and pull pressure on this new moon. You may feel like a strong willpower to start something new, to channel your energy and effort into something new, or perhaps a new opportunity that comes up, which is going to affect your public reputation, could be born of some kind of opposing energy here. And for others of you, this could be the plan to retire or come out of retirement, or take on some kind of leadership position or mentorship position, or you're stepping into some kind of role in your life which requires you to be an authority figure. Okay, so it doesn't just have to relate to work in business. Okay, so lastly, on the 18th of May, Mars is going to enter your sign. It's going to enter the sign of Leo, and it's going to be there for 2 months until the 17th of June. So this is good news for you guys. Mars likes to be in fire signs, and when Mars is in your first house, this is when you can have more energy, more drive, and this is all kinds of drive, right? So drive to succeed, to start new things, to work out, to get fit. Sex drive can be on the up as well. You can feel like you're unstoppable in terms of your energy levels and vitality, and this is such a welcome sight for Leos who have experienced the Mars retrograde, which was from early December until early January of 2025. So it is a good time for you to start new projects, start new initiatives, to work out, to take risks. But I do have to say that when Mars is in the first house, there is a higher chance of being accident prone and injury prone. So you just want to make sure that you're being extra careful when handling tools, operating machinery, and even like using knives in the kitchen, plus fire as well. So if you're lighting bonfires or what have you, then do just be extra careful. And last note here would be, when Mars is in our first house, and especially as a fire sign, the tendency to get riled, get fired up, get angry and frustrated is increased manyfold. Okay, so you're going to want to maybe temper this energy with things like grounding yourself, meditation, and things that are just going to not completely put out the fire, but just turn that dial down. Okay, Leo, so thank you so much for watching your April horoscope. If you enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hi Virgo, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. Virgo is one of the most activated signs for April, and that is because there's just such a heavy concentration of astrological activity that is occurring in Pisces in your 7th house, or should I say our 7th house, because I'm a Virgo moon myself. So as the month starts off, we still have Mercury retrograde in Pisces in the 7th house. Venus is also retrograde in Pisces in the 7th house. So the good news is that because Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces and it's together with Mercury, this is basically affording Mercury some kind of blessing here. So actually having these two planets retrograde in the 7th house indicates that Virgos are able to resolve some kind of long-standing conflict or issue that has been really just eating away at them. So this could be with your significant other, your spouse, your business partner, maybe a best friend, or for some of you, this could be with your second born child, because the 7th house represents your second born child. For others of you, this could indicate that there is a heavy renegotiation process that is occurring. So this could be to do with an important contract, sale, business deal, or even a legal matter as well, because the 7th house is one of the legal houses. So the other ones would be the 6th house, the 9th house, and even the 10th house too. So some of you may be going back to court or appealing a decision or trying to get it overturned. In any case, like I said, I do see this as being representative of you guys being able to restore harmony in a relationship that has been out of balance. Okay, so on the 7th of April, we're going to have the Venus-Saturn conjunction occurring, and this will actually be the second one that we're having for this year. So the first one was on the 19th of January at 16 degrees. I repeat, Venus-Saturn conjunct, and that was in your 7th house. And on the 7th of April, the Venus and Saturn conjunction will be taking place at 25 degrees, which you can see over here. And also we've got Mercury conjunct the North Node at 26 degrees too. So when we have a Venus-Saturn conjunction occurring in the 7th house, it can represent there being a very important long-term decision being made that either involves another person or that relates to making a promise to another person or them making a promise to you, or perhaps this is indicative of a very important document or contract being signed. So to me, because Venus is retrograde here, plus the third and final conjunction will be occurring later in the month on the 25th of April, you're not sorting it out on the 7th of April, but important discussions may be taking place around this time. And the retrograde here can indicate that you're revisiting a topic, you're going back to a subject that's been discussed before, or something that was already in place maybe from or since the start of the year, or even before that, is now up for discussion again. And you know, this could look like discussions about buying, selling, renting, entering into a relationship, making it exclusive, getting engaged, getting married, or perhaps talking about the future of your relationship. Should we separate? Should we take a break? Do we need a bit of a breather, etc.? So it could go either way. And sometimes when I say this, people comment being like, oh, that means that, you know, anything could happen. Well, not every sign is having their house of relationships and marriage and partnerships being activated. So no, it's not just something that can happen to anyone and everyone. This is a specific comment to the sign of Virgo, where your relationships are just front and center for you for this month because of this heavy activation to your 7th house. So on the 7th of April, we're going to see Mercury stationing direct. So this will be at 26 degrees Pisces. So if you're a Virgo, around 26 degrees plus or minus maybe 5, so like 21 degrees through till 29 degrees, this can indicate that you can have a clarifying conversation with a significant other, someone that you collaborate with, or things can just start to calm down in your relationships. And it's like, okay, I know what direction we're moving in now. And you just have this feeling like the dust is starting to settle. Do note though that the post-shadow period won't actually conclude until the 27th of April. Okay, so moving along, on the 13th of April, we're going to see a full moon take place in Libra, and this is going to be in your 2nd house of finances and resources. And the 2nd house also rules over things like your self-esteem, your personal values, your wardrobe, as in like literally your clothes, possessions, things in storage. And so a full moon here in your 2nd house can actually indicate that maybe something's coming to a close here. It's the end of a chapter. So that could be doing a clear out of your possessions, of your wardrobe. This could indicate you maybe receiving a lump sum of money, or perhaps you are actually having to spend big around this time. If you can see here, the full moon's at 23 degrees. It's making an exact opposition to Chiron, but also 23 degrees is actually the degree of the fixed star Speaker, okay? And Speaker is associated with creativity, artistic talent, abundance, prosperity, and wealth. And so this opposition here that involves not just the full moon, but Speaker and Chiron can indicate that there could be some kind of healing that takes place with or through channeling your artistic and creative talents and abilities. Maybe you are selling a piece of art. For others of you, this can even be a huge release or an epiphany as it relates to your personal values, your self-esteem, how you feel about your creativity and your creative self-expression. And with this tight T-square to Mars, there's some kind of, I was going to say pain, but then the word ache came to mind, and it's almost like a yearning or an aching to get back into something that brought you a lot of joy, creatively speaking. So this could be drawing, painting, dancing, cooking, or even just spending time in nature could be very, very healing for you. I do have to say that your financial situation, your earning capacity, and that kind of thing could be at the forefront of your mind around this time, and there could be some pain that is associated with, you know, how you make money, whether it's enough or not enough, and your sense of self-worth. So all of this could be something that you are focusing on heavily around the 13th of April, plus or minus 1 or 2 weeks. So even from the start of April, these could be things that you're thinking about and ruminating on. All right. So on the 13th of April, so still the same day, we're going to see Venus stationing direct in the sign of Pisces, which is very interesting because Venus is exalted in Pisces, but it also rules over the full moon in Libra. So I actually think that this could indicate that you're experiencing a creative breakthrough and that you are maybe getting back into something of an artistic nature, or even just realizing what it is that makes you happy or that you're able to derive joy from in a way that's in some sense quite beautiful and quite simplistic and divinely inspired, but in another way it's like connecting you to divinity and beyond. I know this is now like I don't want to say going off the deep end, but I'm just going to stop myself there and move along, okay? So on the 14th of April, what we're going to see is the Saturn-North Node conjunction taking place in Pisces, and this will be also at 26 degrees in your 7th house. Now, this conjunction only occurs once every 11 to 12 years, so that means that a new 11-year cycle is taking place around this time. The previous Saturn-North Node conjunction was in Scorpio in 2013, and the next one will be in 2036 in the sign of Leo. So let's not look at the past and delve into the future. Let's focus on the here and now, which is April. So on the 14th of April, there could be a new career opportunity or collaboration opportunity which comes up for you because this is occurring in your 7th house. And it could be a long-term project because Saturn is involved here. So it could be something that you're committing to that's not just like a week or a month, but it could be a good few months or maybe even a year or 2 years or 3 years, which is the duration of Saturn's cycle. But in any case, the North Node represents some kind of excitement that's also here alongside this opportunity. So it's this, let's say, maybe drive to act now, act quickly, and to really take a risk or take a leap of faith. And the North Node and Saturn energy are kind of, I don't want to say polar opposite, but they're really, really different because the North Node wants to cut corners, get things done, and take action here and now without necessarily planning. It wants to skip ahead, whereas Saturn is like, no, cross your T's, dot your I's, follow the law, follow the rules, do things in a step-by-step, methodical, pragmatic kind of way. Anyway, I'm going to park that there with you for now, but just know that this month it looks like you are making an important promise, commitment, obligation, agreement, arrangement, or signing a contract with another person or something that it takes up a lot of mental space and time and energy to arrange, and it seems like really big decisions are being made, and this could be to do with business partners, with your relationship, or perhaps to do with your career or a client, or even signing contracts, so deciding where to live, what are the terms and arrangements, and so on and so forth. So on the 18th of, I keep wanting to say May, but on the 18th of April, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo, and it will be there for 2 months until mid-June. Cast your mind back to what was happening in November or even December last year, because that's when we had Mars in Leo. So from early November and then from early December, Mars stationed retrograde. So something that was discussed or considered or started or entertained towards the end of last year could be resurfacing for you as of mid-April, the 18th of April onwards. So Mars is going to be in your 12th house, and the 12th house is a very subconscious house. It's a hidden house. It relates to our dream state, our fantasies, as well as our mental health. So when Mars goes into the 8th house, it can be really good for overcoming self-sabotaging behaviors, addictions, fears, insecurities, and really weeding out anything that's taken root and that is impacting us negatively, but also subconsciously. All right, so this can see you maybe trying to overcome some kind of addiction to a substance such as drugs or alcohol, or maybe just reducing your intake there. You could be having violent dreams or maybe even sexual dreams while Mars is transiting the 12th house. The 12th house also represents things like, or rules over things like yoga, meditation, divination, and our intuition. And wherever Mars goes, this is where we're putting a lot of energy and effort into these areas. So you could be practicing yoga or meditation. You could be trying to hone your intuitive skills further. And when Mars is transiting the 12th house, sometimes this can negatively impact our sleep, or we can just sort of be burning ourselves out a little bit. So you will just want to guard against that. Now, on the 25th of April, we're going to see the third and final conjunction between Venus and Saturn, and this time Venus will be direct. So this is the last conjunction for 2025 for another year. All right, so 12 months. This will be the last one for 12 months is what I mean to say. So something that's been discussed or considered since about the start of the year can finally be decided upon or acted upon. And even maybe up to like 1 year ago, because we had the Venus-Saturn conjunction in Pisces occur last year. So there could be something that maybe has even taken you 1 year to take action on or decide upon as it relates to you and your significant other, or your living circumstances, or something to do with a client or business partner, etc., etc. And just so you know, this can indicate entering into a relationship with another person and making it official. I'm pretty sure that when I entered my now current relationship, Venus was conjunct Saturn. So you can see, you know, Venus rules over love and romance, and Saturn is to make things exclusive or to bond them together and to, well, yeah, come together for the long term. So you may actually be, let's say, forming an agreement or arrangement with a business partner, with a client, or entering into a new relationship, or maybe getting engaged. So lastly, for the month, on the 27th of April, there will be a new moon in Taurus at 7 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 9th house. The 9th house is associated with education, teaching, higher learning, as well as your belief systems and travel, and also it is a legal house as well. Hours before this new moon, Mars and Pluto did form an opposition. So as you can see here, they are part of this new moon. It is baked into the foundation of that new moon. So with the tight T-square, that is to say. So it appears that there's some kind of pressurized new beginning or new chapter that's taking place for you. I'll just throw out a few different ways that this can play out. So this can indicate that you're purchasing a ticket, traveling abroad, and maybe there's some kind of risk involved, or you're traveling solo or going somewhere where it's like, I don't know the language, or there's something new and exciting, but that requires you to sort of be a bit more assertive. On a different note, you could be becoming a teacher. You could be starting some kind of new education course or program with this new moon. It could be quite spiritual in nature, or esoteric or deep, or relate to psychology, given the influence of Pluto here. This could indicate bringing a legal matter or a lawsuit against another person, or maybe you're just filing for a visa, permanent citizenship, or permanent residency, or something like that. You could be learning a new language, or perhaps you are actually making changes to your existing university degree or college degree. Okay, in any case, a new moon in your 9th house is going to be trining you. All right, so this is a new chapter, a new start, which is beneficial to Virgos in some way, especially if you are around 7 degrees, you know, plus or minus about 5 degrees. Okay, Virgo, so that's all I have for you for your April horoscope. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, Virgo, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hi Libra Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. As the month begins, you are probably still going to be just coming down from the after effects of the new moon solar eclipse that took place at the end of March in Aries in your 7th house, plus integrating this fresh new energy of Neptune entering Aries in your 7th house, which this is the first time that Neptune's entering Aries for 165 years. So it's such a fresh new energy that actually everyone is going to have to contend with and adapt to. As April begins, Mercury and Venus are still retrograde in Pisces in your 6th house. Now, Venus is your ruling planet. Whenever it's retrograde, we could just say that Libras are reinventing themselves during this time, reevaluating their life path, their choices, their relationships, their connections, etc. The good news is that Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, which ultimately means it loves to be in the sign of Pisces. So this could actually be a very creative and fruitful time for you. On the 7th of April, Venus, which is, I repeat, your ruling planet, will form a conjunction with Saturn at 25 degrees Pisces, and this is in your 6th house. So at the time, Venus is, of course, still retrograde here, as you can see on the screen, and I just want you to know that this is the second of 3 conjunctions that Venus and Saturn are making. The first one was on the 19th of January, and the third and final conjunction will be on the 25th of April. So Venus is your ruling planet, which indicates that whatever Venus is doing, whatever sign it is in, whether it is direct or retrograde, it impacts you and your path in life, your vision, your approach, your relationships. It impacts everything about you and your life, okay? So whenever Venus is involved in a conjunction or a transit, etc., this is when we can observe changes in you and your life and so on and so forth. So having this conjunction in your 6th house can indicate that you are really considering your work, the job that you do, the work that you do day to day. This can indicate you reassessing who your employees are. This can see an old employee coming back into the fold. This can see you reevaluating the team dynamics, and also the 6th house rules over your health, your daily exercise regime, and it also rules over things like debts, loans, mortgages, and the 6th house rules over your pets as well. So having this conjunction take place in your 6th house to me indicates a heavy re-evaluation period taking place for you. So you may not land on a firm decision around the 7th of April. If you are considering these things in your life, your work, your employees, your health, debts, loans, pets, etc., then this can see you pivoting and maybe receiving new insights or having a fresh perspective, but maybe you don't take action or execute something until later in the month. And for some of you, this could see you engaging in some kind of workout challenge. So for example, a push-up challenge. My boyfriend did one of those last year. Or maybe this is like training for a marathon, or wanting to work with a naturopath and change your diet or something of that nature. Also on the 7th of April, Mercury will station direct in Pisces at 26 degrees. This is really good for Libras, because when we have Mercury retrograde in the 6th house, it can indicate that we're working through conflicts, problems, issues with the day-to-day processes, maybe issues with our employees. So if there's been any discord there, then things can start to calm down. If there's been uncertainty around a decision that involves a pet in your life, then again, you can have more clarity and know what you're wanting to do going forwards from the 7th of April onwards. Do note though that the post-retrograde shadow period won't actually conclude until the 27th of April. Okay, so moving along, on the 13th of April, this is when we're going to see Venus stationing direct in Pisces at 24 degrees. So if there's been issues with your health, this can actually indicate things taking a turn for the better, it's more positive. Maybe you're getting some good news back from your doctor. For others of you, you're maybe finding out results around this date, and it could involve you having to make some changes to things like your exercise regime, your health regime, your diet and nutrition and that sort of thing. Okay, so also on the 13th of April, we're going to have the full moon in Libra taking place in your first house at 23 degrees. So the Libras who will be impacted the most will be those around 23 degrees plus or minus 5 degrees. So that's from about 18 degrees to 28 degrees Libra. I repeat, rising sun or moon. Full moons are all about something being illuminated, having epiphanies or realizations, something reaching its peak, or even the conclusion of something or the end of a chapter. So when a full moon is occurring in our sign, even if you're an early degree Libra, this can still indicate that you're realizing what you want to do as it relates to maybe relationships, clients, career, your path in life, how you carry yourself, how you present yourself, how you talk, walk, dress, etc., etc. This full moon is conjunct Speaker, which is the fixed star of abundance, creativity, artistic talent, and prosperity. So there's actually something beautiful and auspicious about this full moon in Libra, but I do have to draw your attention to the fact that it is exactly opposite Chiron. So, and it's also square Mars. Actually, it forms a T-square with Mars in Cancer at 27 degrees in your 10th house. So there's this push and pull energy. There's something beautiful that arises out of this full moon, and maybe this is in relation to your self-worth, your self-esteem, how you view yourself in terms of an abundance mindset, your creative potential, your artistic talents, etc. But then maybe there's some kind of pain that accompanies this full moon, because perhaps you have to say goodbye to a certain relationship, and it doesn't have to be someone completely leaving your life. It could even be a period of separation, or as I pursue this path in my life, I know I'm not going to be as close with this person anymore because we have totally different views or opinions, or in order for me to pursue my dream in this direction, I can't be on both of these paths at once. It feels like a choice needs to be made around the 13th of April, plus or minus 1 or 2 weeks. But ultimately, as difficult as that may be, look, you have the support of Jupiter here, so it's for your best and highest good. It's allowing you to grow, expand, maybe educate yourself. Maybe you're traveling around this time. Maybe you're coming into contact with a wonderful new teacher or mentor in your life, or pursuing your spiritual beliefs, your religious beliefs, or maybe this even relates to your political beliefs. And in any case, I'm going to park that there with you for now. Please feel free to leave me a comment and let me know how this full moon is playing out for you. Okay, so on the 14th of March, is it March? No, it's April. Why do I keep wanting to say March? Anyway, on the 14th of April, Saturn is going to form a conjunction with the North Node at 26 degrees Pisces, and this will be in your 6th house. So once more, your 6th house is very much activated here. This conjunction only takes place once every 11 to 12 years, so it's quite rare, and it does indicate a new 11-year chapter that is starting around this time. The last conjunction that we had was in 2013 in Scorpio, and the next one will be in 2036 in the sign of Leo. So the energy of Saturn and North Node are really, really different, where Saturn wants to uphold the law and make sure that everything is done correctly by following the rules and the guidelines, etc. The North Node couldn't be more opposite. The North Node just wants to get things done in the here and now, advance, not really take any notice of other people waiting in line. We have to wait this amount of time before we action X, Y, Z. So there's actually this interesting dichotomous energy that I think you're going to experience as it relates to the work that you do for some of you. Okay, so this could be wanting to start a new job, employ someone new, bring something new to the team, employ new processes and systems with work, and it's like, I want to get this done now. But Saturn is like, whoa, we need time to integrate, we need time to set up, we need to lay a proper foundation. For others of you, this can indicate that you are starting a new health regime. Maybe this relates to exercise, maybe this relates to nutrition. Some of you may be adopting a pet, fostering a pet, or with the sixth house ruling over loans and mortgages, you may be taking out a loan around this time, maybe applying for a mortgage. I do think that things can be done quicker than normal with this energy, but it kind of still feels like there's a rush on your part and you wish things could take place earlier or sooner. Okay, so 26 degrees relates to the Taurus degree, which is finances, resources, food, nutrition, etc. So maybe some of you are actually committing to a new health treatment, and this could relate to your teeth or something to do with the lower half of your face, maybe bone structure, the jaw, etc., etc. That's just a random throwaway comment there, so it's only going to apply to a select few of you. Anyway, moving along, Libra, on the 18th of April, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo, and it will be there for 2 months until the 17th of June. You may want to think back to, what was I doing in November last year, or maybe even December last year, because Mars first entered Leo in early November of 2024, then it stationed retrograde in early December of 2024. So something could be coming back full circle around this time. And ultimately, Mars is going to be transiting your 11th house. So when we experience this transit, which by the way is once every 2 and a bit years, this is when you can be taking action towards your long-term goals, your long-term dreams, trying to set up or initiate some kind of passive or residual form of income. Maybe you're looking to form a new community. Mars transiting the 11th house, it does have to be said, can indicate that there may be conflict or discord with older siblings or with someone that you are friends with, or maybe in your wider network. Also, Mars rules over your 7th house, which represents one-to-one partnerships and relationships. So this could indicate that you are maybe going into business with another person, collaborating with another person, or just really taking action towards your big goals and dreams for the future. Also, this can indicate that someone is investing in you. So this can indicate that you're receiving money through another person, but that there's still going to be effort and energy put in on your part, because you have to deliver really with Mars entering your 11th house. So I repeat, that's 2 months from the 18th of April until the 17th of June. Moving along, on the let's see, the 25th of April, Venus is going to form its final conjunction with Saturn. So I'm not going to spend too much time here on this transit because we did discuss it already when we had that first one in April on the 7th. So ultimately, this is when you may be finalizing your decision about the work that you do, your job, maybe getting a new job, a new title, changing office, possibly receiving a promotion, making important decisions about your employees and their future, maybe securing that loan, securing that mortgage, adopting that pet, fostering that pet. This could indicate that you're maybe doing what they call pet sit. My friend's been doing this for quite a while. I don't know how she does it. She's amazing. She's just been going from house to house, pet sitting. And so that can be a really exciting opportunity for you to make money, but then also have somewhere to stay, or maybe you're doing a homestay with another person. Okay, so moving on to the last item for the month. On the 27th of April, there will be a new moon in Taurus, and this will be in your 8th house. So just a few hours before the new moon occurs, I should say, Mars will form an opposition to Leo. And as you can see here, the new moon in Taurus is making a tight T-square with Pluto and with Mars. So there's some kind of pressurized new chapter or new beginning that is occurring here. This can indicate that there's a new chapter that relates to mutual resources, going into business with another person, procuring a new investment, asset, or resource, having access to someone else's resources. Maybe they're letting you stay with them, live with them. Maybe someone is loaning you some money. This is the other house that relates to loans as well. This can indicate that there's maybe a new relationship that you're setting up with an accountant, so a working relationship, I mean to say. Your significant other could be generating a new stream of income. The 8th house represents intimacy and sex, and we've got the new moon squaring Pluto and Mars, which are the 2 planets of sex. So this could actually indicate that you are starting a new sexual relationship with another person, or your existing sexual relationship with your partner could be moving in a new direction. Some of you may be setting up appointments with a therapist, or discovering a new psychologist, or doing a deep dive into things like astrology, tarot, anything to do with the occult, esoteric matters, or researching conspiracy theories and so on and so forth. So Libra, that's all I have for you for your April horoscope. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, Libra, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hi Scorpio, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. This month, something positive is going to be occurring in your life, and that is because there's such a heavy activation to your 5th house, which is Pisces, which means that all of this energy is trining you, which is very beneficial for Scorpios. So as we enter the month, both Mercury and Venus will still be retrograde in your 5th house, and they've been retrograde there since the 2nd of March for Venus and the 15th of March for Mercury. In any case, the 5th house rules over your love life, romance, passion, fun, leisure time, as well as children. And the 5th house rules over things like your hobbies, your passions, creative projects, as well as owning your own business. So if you own your own business with Venus and Mercury retrograde here in your 5th house, this can indicate that you are maybe giving your business a facelift. Maybe you are rebranding, maybe you are reconsidering what it is that your business does or offers or is about. You can be pulling certain products from the shelves or from your website, or maybe putting them back on, or perhaps you are just reevaluating what services you offer and what direction you want your business to go in. This can indicate that you may be reopening your business, especially if you had to push the pause button on it here. On a different note, with children, this can indicate that you may be wanting to expand your family further for some of you. For others of you, if you already have children, it's likely that they've maybe been a little bit rebellious over the last few weeks, since sometime in March, and this can start to calm down from the 7th of April and even mid-April onwards. And that is because on the 7th of April, this is when Mercury will station direct in Pisces at 26 degrees. And this can also indicate that from that time onwards, you have more clarity about your work, your business, and what you're wanting to do and wanting to achieve. So with love and romance. Maybe you have been reevaluating your love life, whether you are wanting to date. Maybe this is you reinstalling dating apps, or you've just been talking with your significant other about your romantic future and what to do there. So also on the 7th of April, we are going to see Venus retrograde in Pisces form a conjunction with Saturn in Pisces, and this will be at 25 degrees. This will actually be the second of 3 conjunctions that these 2 planets make. The first was on the 19th of January at 16 degrees, and the third and final one will be on the 25th of April at 27 degrees. So on the 7th of April, because Venus is retrograde here, this to me indicates that you are making some important decisions about your relationship with another person, romantically speaking, your business, whether you're wanting to reopen your business, launch a new business, or your existing business. This can indicate an important new chapter occurring in the life of one of your children, probably your firstborn child, and maybe having to put certain boundaries in place, either with your children, with someone that you are dating. And on a different note, this can indicate that you may be considering committing to some kind of creative project or hobby or something that you are passionate about. As you can see here, we've got the conjunction making a perfect trine to Mars in Cancer, which is your ruling planet. So this is going to be impacting you positively. On the 13th of April, just give me one moment. Okay. We're going to see Venus direct in Pisces. So this can start to smooth out your relationship with your significant other, how you feel about dating, your relationship with your children, or if there's been issues with a creative project, these can start to be ironed out. And also this can see you starting to see positive developments with your business if you do own your own business. And certainly this is a creative time for you. And this is a time where you're probably feeling very attractive. You're maybe wanting to put yourself out there. It's great having Venus transit the 5th house, because this can bring new socializing opportunities, and you can just have more fun and feel more creative. And even if there's no one romantically speaking in the picture at this time, you may just feel more at peace, or maybe you're just enjoying being single and flirty and that sort of thing. So on the 13th of April, same day, we're going to have a full moon in Libra, and this will be taking place at 12 degrees in your taking place in your 12th house at 23 degrees. So full moons are all about the ending of a chapter taking place, the ending of a cycle. And when we have a full moon in the 12th house, actually, this can bring our awareness to something that has been hidden or that has been buried in our subconscious. So on one level, certain secrets or information may be coming to light. And because this full moon is actually making a T-square to Mars in Cancer, which is your ruling planet, this could actually directly involve you. So this could be something that is shared with you, an insight that you have, something that gets revealed to you. On a different note, this can see you actually having clarity and awareness around a self-sabotaging behavior that you have, or a tendency that you have. And because this full moon is actually going to be conjunct Spica, which is the fixed star of abundance, creativity, and wealth, and it's opposing Chiron in Aries, to me this indicates that you may be able to unlock something here that relates to your abundance mindset, or even your self-perception as it relates to your own creative abilities and talents. So this full moon for you could be quite psychological in nature. Maybe nothing tangible is happening, but it's like, okay, I have an understanding and an awareness of things that need to change or things that I need to release from my life. So on the 14th of April, we're going to see Saturn conjunct the North Node at 26 degrees in Pisces, and this only occurs every 11 to 12 years. So this actually is a new 11-year cycle that's taking place. The last time that we had this conjunction occur was in the sign of Scorpio back in 2013, and the next time will be in 2036 in the sign of Leo. But let's focus on the here and now. This conjunction occurring in your 5th house can indicate that you may be investing your finances and resources into a creative project, into starting something new, into your hobbies, your talents, maybe starting a new business or expanding your existing business further. This can indicate that you may be actually wanting to write a book or earn money off of something creative that you do, even if it's not writing. And I say this because 26 degrees is the Taurus degree. So it's associated with your finances and with your resources. And on a different note, this could see you actually getting pregnant or starting that process, maybe wanting to start a family or expand your existing family further. And that's not seen just by this particular conjunction. Even Venus conjunct Saturn here could be that important decision about your about children, and maybe you're actually investing your resources into IVF or looking into options as it pertains to finding a surrogate, or maybe being a surrogate for someone else. So this conjunction occurring in your 5th house indicates that there's a new long-term foundation that you're wanting to lay, or chapter that you're wanting to start, or opportunity that you find is falling into your lap. Now, on the 18th of April, Mars, which is your ruling planet, is going to enter the sign of Leo, and it will be there for 2 months until the 17th of June. Mars and its transits, whatever sign it's in, whatever house it's entering into, indicates you and what you are pursuing and what you're putting your energy and your effort into. So Scorpio, I really want you to pay attention to every time Mars changes signs, every time it enters a new house, and any time it's involved in important aspects, because this is when you can observe changes in yourself, whether that's internally, physically, and the direction that you're moving in your life. So when Mars transits the 10th house, actually, this is a time where we can be pursuing new heights, new opportunities as it relates to our public status, our public reputation, career objectives, maybe getting a promotion or a new title. This can see you stepping into a position of power, giving the punchline away there, or leadership. Worst case scenario, butting heads with an authority figure, your father, your boss, someone who has some kind of authority over you. I do have to say that this is a time where your actions are very visible. If you're getting frustrated, if you're getting angry, if you're telling someone off, if you are biting someone's head off, it's highly likely that people are going to be observing this, or observing you, and maybe forming opinions. So this could be a time where you are experiencing scrutiny or criticism, but it's also a time where you can feel very confident and very goal-oriented. So you just want to balance out that energy here. Any goals or objectives that you set for yourself in a career sense, you can have great stamina and willpower and the ability to achieve these with excellence. Okay, so we're going to move to the 25th of April. So here we have our third and final conjunction forming between Venus and Saturn, and this will be at 27 degrees Pisces in your 5th house. So I'm not going to spend too much time focusing on this, but to me this just indicates that you can be finalizing decisions about your romantic life, your love life, maybe becoming exclusive with another person, getting onto the same page with one or more of your children, maybe seeing them, maybe setting boundaries with your children, looking to expand your family further, maybe getting pregnant around this time. And for others of you, this can see you committing to starting a new business or expanding your business further, or a new hobby or passion or creative project. Maybe a new, maybe you're writing a book with this one, or you have the idea and you're starting to go into that full speed ahead. Okay, so actually there's one more thing to look at for the month. On the 27th of April, there's a new moon in Taurus at 7 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 7th house, which represents contracts, partnerships, one-to-one relationships of all kinds, marriage, collaborations, clients, etc., etc. New moons are all about planting the new seed and a new chapter beginning or occurring in our life. And ultimately, when we have a new moon in our 7th house, this can indicate a new business deal, a new client coming on board, offering new services or engaging the services with another person. So a new business partnership forming. This can indicate doing deals, closing, starting a process for a new contract, potentially for purchasing a property, selling a property, renting, relocating, etc., etc. Some of you may be entering into a new relationship around this time, making it official. And for others of you who are already in a relationship, maybe this is making an important decision about your future. And again, this could be about getting engaged, getting married. For some of you, maybe talking about what's the future of your relationship. So looking at, do we want to stay together? And that kind of thing. In any case, just a few hours before, Mars will be forming an opposition to Pluto, which you can see is now baked into the cake here with the new moon, as it squares both Pluto and Mars, which are both of your ruling planets. So I do think that some kind of new important chapter is occurring for you around the end of the month, so 27th of April, plus or minus 2 weeks. Okay, Scorpio, so that's all I have for you for your April horoscope. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, Scorpio, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hi Sagittarius, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. As the month begins, we've still got Mercury and Venus retrograde in Pisces in your 4th house. So both of these planets are now squaring you. And if you are a later degree Sagittarius, around 24 degrees up through till 29 degrees, you'll be feeling this the most. So ultimately, there may be heavy discussions or considerations about your property and living circumstances, your family, whether this is your existing family and your relationships with them, or looking at starting a family or expanding your family further. So all of this could be up for discussion for you, or at the very least, just something that you are thinking about at this time. On a different note, you may be reflecting on your upbringing, your childhood, and your relationship or relationships with your parents, whether they're still around or not. On the 7th of April, we're going to see Mercury stationing direct in the sign of Pisces at 26 degrees. So you may be finding clarity when it comes to your home life, or something to do with your flatmates, who you live with, where you live, or maybe making decisions about the future of your living circumstances. So there may have been discussions about renovating, expanding, relocating, maybe investing in a rental property, or perhaps looking at putting your property on the market, or there could be discussions about someone coming to live with you or you going to live with another person, or perhaps this is to do with making important decisions about your parents, especially if you are their primary caregiver or if you have power of attorney or anything of that nature. Also on the 7th of April, Venus is going to form a conjunction with Saturn, which is in your 4th house once more. So Venus is retrograde here, and the conjunction is occurring at 25 degrees. Now, this conjunction between Venus and Saturn is actually happening 3 times this year. The first time was on the 19th of January at 16 degrees. This is the second time, and the third and final time will be on the 25th of April at 27 degrees. So I repeat, there's some kind of important decision that's being made which relates to the 4th house. Home, property, living circumstances, your children, your parents, flatmates, rental properties, reflecting on your relationships with your family, your upbringing, etc. Maybe working with a therapist or a psychologist or someone who can help you to unpack things from your childhood or your upbringing and so on and so forth. If you have been out of contact with a family member for a long time, this can indicate that you are maybe reconsidering the dynamics of that relationship and maybe wanting to, for want of a better term, bring that relationship back online. Or perhaps you're looking at implementing boundaries with family members or flatmates or people that you live with and so on and so forth. So the whole month of April, your 4th house is extremely activated because we've got this conjunction taking place twice. We've got the Venus retrograde, the Mercury retrograde, and a Saturn-North Node conjunction as well. So on the 13th of April, we're going to see Venus stationing direct in the sign of Pisces at 24 degrees in your 4th house. So I repeat, matters as it pertains to your family, your property and living circumstances, your children, your parents, and whatnot can start to fall into place now that Mercury and Venus are both direct once more. So you may be making important decisions about your parents. Maybe this is to do with having them move into your place and becoming their primary caregiver, or maybe you're looking at options as it pertains to in-house care, retirement homes, and assisted care, and so on and so forth. You may be drawing up your own end-of-life directory, which, if you don't know what that is, it basically relates to what decisions you would want made on your behalf if you were no longer able to make them. At least that's my understanding of it. Maybe it's different in different countries. In any case, if there have been issues with your parents, with your children, with flatmates, or just not being able to decide what to do about your property and your living situation, perhaps from the 13th of April onwards, this can start to become clearer for you. I do just want you to note that with the Venus retrograde post-shadow period, that will not conclude until the 16th of April, whereas the Mercury retrograde post-shadow period won't conclude until the 25th of April. I meant to say the 16th of May for Venus retrograde, if I didn't say that already. Can't even remember what I just said 5 seconds ago. So ultimately, these things can start to iron out from end of April onwards, if not from mid-May onwards. So on the 13th of April, in addition to Venus stationing direct, we are going to see a full moon take place in the sign of Libra, and this will be occurring at 23 degrees in your 11th house. So the 11th house relates to passive forms of income, your wider network, friends, groups, and communities that you are part of, as well as, if I didn't say it already, no, I did, residual forms of income. And by the way, that can be rental income as well. So having a full moon here could indicate that you may be receiving a payout. You may be launching some kind of new group or community. And this could be like an online community, or joining a new group, or leaving a existing community behind, or a friendship group behind, because we do have this tense T-square that Mars is making with the full moon. So that's Mars in Cancer. So ultimately, full moons are all about the ending of a cycle, the ending of a chapter, or something reaching its peak, or some kind of conclusion. So ultimately, to have this full moon occur in your 11th house could indicate that you are maybe achieving a long-term goal, achieving the successful completion of a project, or maybe you're having to actually reprioritize your long-term goals and dreams and make some important decisions, because perhaps you're not able to juggle all of these priorities at once. On a different note, this can indicate potentially having a fallout with a friend or someone in your wider network or community. And with the 11th house, it does relate to investors. So perhaps someone is investing in you, or if you've been receiving some kind of government support or assistance, then perhaps this is now drawing to a close around this time. The full moon in Libra is exactly conjunct Speaker, which represents abundance, wealth, and prosperity, but it is also opposite Chiron, which can indicate that there is some sort of pain associated with this full moon that's coming through. But I do just want to note that it is sextiling you. So even if there's some kind of ending or chapter coming to a close in your life, I feel like there is a silver lining here, because it is sextiling you. So maybe there's a bittersweet moment where it's like, okay, I completed my goal, I completed my dream. Oh, what next? Or now I feel sad that this is over, even if it's drawing to a close as it was intended. Okay, so moving along, on the 14th of April, we're going to see the Saturn-North Node conjunction take place at 26 degrees in the sign of Pisces, and this will be in your 4th house once more. This conjunction only takes place once every 11 to 12 years. The last one was in the sign of Scorpio in 2013, and the next conjunction won't be until 2036 in the sign of Leo. But in terms of focusing on this one, it is in your 4th house, so we can see once more that 4th house being so heavily activated for you in April. 26 degrees is the Taurus degree, and Taurus energy is all about finances, resources, our personal values, as well as things like gardening, farming, farming, and 26 degrees is actually one of the degrees that is associated with property. So I do really think that important decisions are being made about something that relates to your living circumstances and your property. So I repeat, this could be buying, selling, renting, putting your property back onto the market, maybe investing in something like a beach house or a farm, or maybe you are looking at growing a vegetable patch, or planting a whole bunch of trees or flowers or something like this. Because we have Saturn here, I do think that there'll be a lot of energy and effort that is put into whatever you are commencing around the 14th of April. It doesn't have to be to the day. It could be plus or minus even a few weeks, because we do just have this massive activation to the sign of Pisces in your 4th house. Some of you may be actually financially assisting your children, or maybe your grandchildren, or maybe this is financially assisting your parents or your grandparents, or making a decision as it relates to family that's going to require you to invest your finances and your resources somehow. Okay, so moving along on the 18th of April, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo, which means that it will be transiting your ninth house and it'll be there for a couple of months until the 17th of June. So Mars is arguably a lot happier in the sign of Leo than it is in Cancer. And fortunately for you, Sagittarius, Mars will now be trining you, which means that you can have more access to greater levels of energy, vitality, drive, and willpower. And whatever house Mars is transiting, on one level, we're putting more energy and effort into that house. But on the other level, on another level, this is where we can experience conflicts or discord. Okay, so the ninth house relates to your big dream for your life, like your vision of what you want your life to be. It's not about your material goals and projects that you want to execute, which is maybe more the 11th house, but it's like, what's my vision for my future? What's my purpose in life? What's my path in life? And so with Mars transiting your ninth house, you can be focused on your belief systems, political, religious, spiritual, ideological, your own personal code of ethics, your morals. You may experience a moral dilemma during this 2 months-ish period of time. On a different note, this can see you pursuing some kind of higher level of knowledge or education. Worst case scenario, maybe having disagreements with a mentor or with a teacher in your life. On a different note, with Mars transiting your ninth house, this could see you having a lot of energy to channel into learning a new language or travel. Okay, so you may be pursuing travel at this time. If you are traveling, I expect that your holiday could maybe involve adventure or sport, hiking, and a lot of activity and fun. Or if you're not having that kind of holiday, then there may be some kind of challenge that you need to overcome, not for the entire time, but then it may just not be as smooth sailing as what you expected. So moving along to the 25th of April, this is when we're going to see the third and final conjunction between Venus and Saturn in Pisces at 27 degrees in your fourth house. So whatever decision you've been grappling with, maybe since the start of this month or even the beginning of the year, you can actually come to a conclusion or a decision around the 25th of April. So you may be signing important contracts, you may be deciding, okay, what needs to be done, what direction am I going to move in? So this could, I repeat, relate to your property and living circumstances, flatmates, someone living with you, you moving in to another person's home, or whatever is happening with anything to do with property, family, decisions on behalf of your children, decisions on behalf of your parents, or that are going to impact your children or impact your parents or impact your grandparents. Okay, so if you have a look here, we've got Venus and Saturn at 27 degrees, Moon and North Node at 25 degrees, and all of this is making a sextile to Uranus in Taurus at 25 degrees. So Sagittarius, I do feel that whatever you are experiencing in the way of challenges as it relates to family, property, and living circumstances, actually some kind of difficulty is going to be removed from your life with the sextile to Uranus. Or perhaps it's like, I get the support that I need, and maybe that's material, maybe that's financial, maybe some kind of major obstacle or blockage that exists here is lifted, or maybe it could play out in that I was expecting this part of my decision to be difficult, but this is just one less thing to worry about, and maybe there's something, I repeat, unexpected in that. All right, so moving along to the 27th of April, we're going to see the new moon in Taurus occurring. And for you, this is occurring in your sixth house. So new moons are all about a new chapter taking place. We're planting the new seeds. We're wanting to see that new beginning. But it may not be fully formed. It's just like, this is the idea, this is the start, this is the kernel of the idea, let's say. So the sixth house relates to your work, your day-to-day job that you do, your life admin tasks, your health. It also relates to loans, mortgages, pets, and your health and exercise regime, I mean to say. And just a few hours before the new moon in Taurus, we did experience we will experience a Mars-Pluto opposition, which is now baked into the foundation of this new moon. So you can see that the new moon is at the apex of a T-square. So it squares Pluto, boom, squares Mars, boom. So there's a tension here for sure. And we can experience like a push and pull dynamic. I feel I need to please this person or please that person, or for me to start this new thing and start this new chapter, I need to bring opposing things into balance somehow. So ultimately, this could indicate you starting a new job, bringing a new employee on board. Maybe there's new processes and systems that you have to adhere to in your workplace. This could see you applying for a new loan, applying for a new mortgage. Maybe you're looking at a pet entering into your life around this time. And on a different note, this could see you engaging in some kind of new health treatment or looking at engaging the services of a naturopath. And because we have Taurus here, maybe this is to do with herbs and diet, etc. So something new that you're starting in that department. So I repeat, that is on the 27th of April, and that energy can be with you 1 to 2 weeks before the new moon and 1 to 2 weeks after the new moon. So Sagittarius, that's all I have for you for this April horoscope. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, Sagittarius, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hi Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. As the month begins, we've got both Mercury retrograde in Pisces and Venus retrograde in Pisces in your third house. So basically with Mercury retrograde in the third house, I imagine that since even mid-March, if not earlier, you've had to reschedule a bunch of appointments. Maybe there's been a lot of changes to contracts that you are signing or negotiating. Maybe there have been a lot of clients coming out of the woodwork that you're dealing with once more. And for others of you, if there are projects that you're working on, most likely there will be delays here or perhaps changes to the deadline, and that can be brought forward or pushed back. If you are studying something, or even if you do have a project deadline, this is actually an optimal time to apply for an extension and actually have that be granted. For some of you, you could be retaking a test, resitting an exam, or reapplying for some kind of qualification. And so with retrograde, the focus is really on the so anything that you're redoing, you can actually be successful this time around. Mercury retrograde in your third house can see you actually reuniting with friends, siblings, extended relatives, friends from school, and so on and so forth. There may be some kind of discord here, but actually this is a great time to rebalance those relationships and set the record straight. And if you haven't been in contact with a sibling or a friend for a long time, maybe they've just been out of action in some way, shape or form, or perhaps there's even been a fallout, this is a time where you can reconnect with them and reestablish a stronger foundation within those friendships and within those connections and relationships. So Mercury stations direct on the 7th of April at 26 degrees Pisces, so things can really start to calm down from there onwards. Having said that, the post-shadow retrograde period will not conclude until the 27th of April, so as it relates to projects, it may take you until kind of the end of April to execute them, let's say. Also, on the 7th of April, we're going to see Venus retrograde form a conjunction with Saturn at 25 degrees in your third house. Saturn is your ruling planet, so anytime it changes signs, anytime it is involved in a conjunction such as this, you are going to feel it. You're going to experience it in your life somehow. And perhaps this will play out in the way that you're directing your energy and your attention. So we experienced the first conjunction on the 19th of January, and that was at 16 degrees. And there will be a third and final conjunction for 2025, and that will be on the 25th of April at 27 degrees. In any case, this conjunction, all three of these conjunctions, are sextiling you. So this is having a positive, beneficial impact on you. So for some of you, this could be enrolling or re-enrolling in a short-term education program. This could be you teaching a course or having a team working under you. On a different note, this can indicate actually making taking your relationship with a friend to the next level, romantically speaking, because the third house is friends and Venus is love and romance. On a different note, this could see you perhaps signing important documentation or contracts, or perhaps you're in the renegotiation period because Venus is retrograde here and things maybe are not going to be finalized until later in the month. In any case, as you can see here, we've also got Mercury conjunct the North Node. And look, all of this is making a beautiful trine to Mars in Cancer. In fact, there's really only trines and sextiles going on astrologically at that time, which is pretty rare. So I think whatever's taking place is going to be something that is beneficial, helpful. This may be support from a friend. This may be studying with a friend. But let's just move right along, shall we? So on the 13th of April, Venus is going to station direct in Pisces, and this will be at 24 degrees in your third house. And Venus will still be in its post-shadow retrograde period until the 16th of May. So you may still be working things out in terms of creative projects, relationships with friends, siblings, and so on and so forth. But in any case, this can see you actually committing to some kind of creative project, learning something new, maybe upskilling, and this could relate to something to do with Venus. So this could be drawing, painting, cooking, something to do with music, farming, and so on and so forth. Also on the 13th of April, we're going to see the full moon in Libra take place at 23 degrees. And for you, this will be in your 10th house. As you can see here, there are some spicy aspects going on. The full moon is making a T-square with Mars in Cancer, which will be in your 4th house. The full moon is exactly conjunct the fixed star speaker, which is associated with creativity, wealth, abundance, and prosperity. But it is also exactly opposite Chiron in Aries, which is in your 4th house. And I just realized I said Mars in your 4th house, but I meant Mars in your 7th house. So a full moon in general is all about a chapter coming to a close or something reaching its peak or some kind of conclusion. And when we have a full moon in our 10th house, this can play out as achieving a career goal or objective, attaining a promotion or a new job title or a position of leadership, or this can be the end of a job, the conclusion of some kind of authority or leadership position that you have held. Some of you may be retiring at this time. Some of you may be choosing to walk away from a job. On a different note, perhaps you are releasing some kind of creative project out into the world. And for others of you, this could indicate that there may be a significant relationship change that is being made public or official. For others of you, it could even be that there is some kind of important workplace announcement that is occurring. So for example, maybe your workplace is saying goodbye to the CEO or your boss, or there's just some kind of important news that impacts your company, your business from top down. Okay, so on the 14th of April, Saturn is going to form a rare conjunction with the North Node in Pisces at 26 degrees. Again, this is occurring in your third house. This conjunction only happens once every 11 to 12 years. The previous conjunction was in the sign of Scorpio in 2013. The next conjunction will be in the sign of Leo in 2036. But for now, this is a new 11-year cycle that we are seeing take place. So remember what I said before, Saturn is your ruling planet. So this is a very meaningful conjunction and new cycle that is starting for you. The third house rules over things like friends, short-term education, teaching. It rules over friendship groups, co-workers, clients, sales, and things like diplomas, qualifications, apprenticeships, tests, exams, etc., even licenses too. So some of you may be applying for an important license around this time. And I'm not going to go into all the different licenses that it could be, but I'll just throw a few out there. There's the obvious ones like car license and boat license. Funnily enough, my parents both got a boat license today. Random, but hey, Pisces energy is afoot. But some of you may be applying for an apprenticeship or taking on an apprentice or applying for a liquor license. You see, it can relate to a number of different things. Some of you may be enrolling in an education program. Now, Saturn rules over discipline, structure, delays, challenges, as well as rules, regulations, and following the law. The North Node rules over almost the opposite of that, but not quite. So it's like breaking boundaries, not following the law, skipping steps. It has a strong sexual energy as well as explorative, initiating, and there's an impatience to the energy of the North Node. So fortunately, Capricorns are pretty patient. Don't have to worry about that. The way I would interpret this is that there may be an opportunity or an experience that falls into your lap around the 14th of April, plus or minus a few weeks, and you're like, whoa, I need to be more qualified. I don't think I'm ready for this. And the North Node's like, actually, you should do this, and you're going to learn quickly. You'll still be required to cross your T's and dot your I's, but actually this can see you experiencing rapid improvement or rapid development. And things can happen a lot sooner than you would expect, or maybe you feel like things are happening too soon. Also, 26 degrees is the Taurus degree, so this does indicate maybe needing to make some kind of significant financial investment in this thing, in this opportunity, in this education course, or maybe in this new apprentice that you were taking on board. And it could be that you are maybe having to sign up to a long-term payment plan to be able to afford this. In any case, this particular conjunction is going to be sextiling Uranus at 25 degrees, which indicates that blockages and obstacles can be removed and the finances and resources necessary can come through. But there's this square to Jupiter at 18 degrees, which is Jupiter and Gemini here. And so this square, when it's a square to Jupiter, can represent that there's a huge growth opportunity and expansion opportunity available, but it pushes us outside of our comfort zone. Whereas maybe a trine to Jupiter would feel a little more like, oh, this is easy, or I can take my time. But the square's like, do it now, do it good, do it right, and you'll be awesome. Okay, so moving along, on the 18th of April, Mars is going to enter Leo. So it will be transiting your 8th house. On one level, Mars likes to be in the sign of Leo. It's comfortable in the sign of Leo it is comfortable in the sign of Leo, but it's comfortable in the 8th house because the 8th house is, generally speaking, Scorpio's house, and Scorpio is ruled by Mars. I digress. Mars will be here for 2 months until the 17th of June. So when Mars goes through the 8th house, this can indicate that you are maybe wanting to separate your mutual resources from another person. So I want my own bank account, you keep your bank account, or it can look like bonding your resources together so that you and another person can achieve your goals and achieve your objectives. This can indicate maybe fighting certain mutual resources or decisions that involve other people that you're not happy with. For example, the child support arrangement, the alimony money arrangement, and Mars going through the 8th house, totally changing gears here, could indicate a new sexual relationship taking place, or maybe an existing one coming back online, especially because Mars was in Leo back in November last year, and then it stationed retrograde in early December. So this is part of the same cycle. You may want to reflect on what was happening in my life in November and December last year, because that may be coming back around for you now, and it's up for review from about the 18th of April through till about the 17th of June. If you are working with a psychologist, with a therapist, with even a tarot reader, an astrologer, or someone who's more in the esoteric occult industry, then you can actually experience great success here. The same can be said for acupuncture. This is a fantastic time to overcome fears, to overcome blockages, and to release insecurities. It does have to be said that with Mars ruling over your 4th house as well as your 11th house, there could be some unexpected sudden changes that are occurring as it relates to your property and living circumstances and family relationships and dynamics, plus relationships with friends, people in your community, as well as older siblings. Moving along, on the 25th of April, Venus will form its final conjunction with Saturn, your ruling planet, at 27 degrees Pisces. So this is occurring once more in your 3rd house. So you may just want to revisit the themes and topics that I discussed for the 7th of April with the first Venus retrograde and Saturn conjunction. And so really you can start to put your money where your mouth is, invest in this new education, upskilling, an apprenticeship, a new qualification, a new license. Issues in your relationships with siblings, extended relatives such as aunties, uncles, cousins, even neighbors, co-workers, I think I said friends already. These can start to iron out. You may go into business with one of these people. You could go into business with a sibling, with an extended relative, even with a co-worker, could have some side gig, okay? Or perhaps you are launching a new business or committing to starting a new business, even if it doesn't involve another person. And this could be something that you've been toying with since beginning of the year, or certainly since March and April. Okay, so lastly for the month, Capricorn, on the 27th of April, there will be a new moon in Taurus, and this is going to be occurring at 27 degrees. It's in your 5th house and it's trining you. Awesome. Okay, so this is a new beginning, a new chapter that is starting in your life. And the 5th house is such a fun, happy, lucky house in astrology. We love the 5th house over here. So this can indicate that you are perhaps starting a new creative project or taking up a new hobby or passion, which could be creative or artistic in nature, perhaps starting a new business, or if you have your own existing business, then it could be looking at expanding that further or introducing some kind of new dynamic or dimension to your existing business. Some of you may be getting pregnant around this time or starting to expand your family further. So maybe you're looking at conceiving. Some of you could meet someone special, romantically speaking, around this time. Or even if there's already someone in the picture, maybe you're taking that from a casual status into something that's more serious, especially because, as you can see, this new moon is actually forming a T-square with Pluto and Mars. And Mars and Pluto formed an exact conjunction. Well, they will form an exact conjunction a few hours before that new moon, but of course, that's now baked into the cake of this new moon. So here we've got Mars in Leo, Pluto in Aquarius. So whatever new chapter is starting in your life, it looks like there's a lot of energy and drive behind it. Maybe there's some pressure to start this new thing, and this could be external pressure, or you just feel like it's time. Now is the right time to start this new thing. Okay, Capricorn, so that's all I have for you for your April horoscope. If you enjoyed this reading, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and now let's move on to Aquarius. Hi Aquarius, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. As the month starts off, we've still got Mercury and Venus both retrograde in Pisces in your second house. So Venus first stationed retrograde on the 2nd of March, and then we had Mercury following suit on the 15th of March. So in any case, having both of these planets retrograde in your second house can indicate that your finances and your resources are getting a bit of a shake up, a bit of a switch up as we enter the month, and of course continuing on from whatever was occurring for you the previous month. So ultimately, having Mercury retrograde here can see you putting in or implementing new budgets, and maybe doing a full review of your expenses. And Venus retrograde here could see you maybe doing an overhaul of your possessions and what you have in storage. So maybe you're clearing things out, giving them away, donating them and selling them, and so on and so forth. So on the 7th of April, we are going to see Venus retrograde forming a conjunction with Saturn in Pisces in your second house, and this will be at 25 degrees. So we actually saw the first conjunction take place between these two planets on the 19th of January at 16 degrees, and then the third and final conjunction will be on the 25th of April. So Saturn is one of your ruling planets. It's your traditional chart ruler, whereas Uranus is your other ruling planet, which is your modern chart ruler. Translation: whenever Saturn and also Uranus are involved in conjunctions like this and transits, you are going to feel it, even if it's not in the sign of Aquarius. So to me, this indicates that you are really reevaluating, what do I spend money on? What's important to me in terms of my personal values, looking at ways that you can elevate your sense of self-worth and your self-esteem, and maybe just analyzing, what do you derive a sense of value and meaning from in your life. Now, the second house is actually one of the other property houses in astrology. So we've got the fourth house and the second house both being associated with property here. So this could indicate that you may be reevaluating what is important to you as it pertains to your property and living circumstances, where you are living, what are your priorities, what's your long-term plan for where you would like to live or relocate to. And for some of you, this could be, I want to move overseas, I want to move interstate. For others of you, this could be, I want to move out of mum and dad's home. Or perhaps you are thinking about moving in with someone else, and there's a lot to consider here. Okay, so also on the 7th of April, we've got Mercury finally stationing direct at 26 degrees Pisces. So this can see you maybe receiving money that is owed to you, or just having clarity surrounding what bills need to be paid, or your own your own preferences surrounding the budget for something, or you're maybe having a look at how you make money, how you earn money, and certain streams of income and revenue could be coming back online from the 7th of April onwards. I do have to say that the post-shadow period will not conclude until the 27th of April, so money matters may not be straightened out until end of April or maybe even mid-May, which I'll explain in a moment. So on the 13th of May, the 13th of April, Venus will station direct in Pisces at 24 degrees. So the post-shadow period for Venus will not conclude until the 16th of May, which is why I'm saying that money matters, finances, resources, your income, any changes that are happening here may not settle down or be finalized until, I want to say, the absolute latest, mid-May. In any case, if you've been going through a financially difficult time, especially around March and early April, I do think things can start to calm down around mid-April and getting better and better and better as we approach mid-May. And for others of you, this could see you maybe finding where a beloved possession is or prized possession. So often when we have Venus retrograde in the second house and Mercury retrograde in the second house, we can lose things like pieces of jewelry, a watch, just maybe not being able to find your favorite pair of shoes, or just things like that. So they can start to reappear around this time. And if someone borrowed something from you, whether that's money or an important valuable, it can be returned from this point onwards. So also on the 13th of April, we will see a full moon in Libra take place, and this is going to be in your 9th house at 23 degrees. So on the plus side, it's trining you, which we like to see, but it is making some tense aspects here. So it's making actually an exact opposition to Chiron at 23 degrees, and a tight T-square with Mars in Cancer at 27 degrees. But the saving grace here is that 1, it's trining Jupiter and Gemini, and 2, it is actually conjunct the fixed star Spica, and Spica is it's actually a very auspicious fixed star. It's the star of great creativity, abundance, prosperity, and it's actually a star of bestowing great talent, especially artistically speaking. Actually, Beyonce has this conjunct her ascendant exactly, and a lot of, okay, I'm getting lost in the weeds here. Stay on track, Cailin. So full moons are all about the ending of a chapter, the ending of a cycle taking place, and a full moon in the 9th house can see you perhaps having a travel adventure drawing to a close around the 13th of April. Maybe you are completing a college degree or a uni degree. This could be bittersweet because of this T-square to Mars and this opposition to Chiron. So maybe you've really truly loved your time abroad or learning something new. For others of you, you may actually have to take a sabbatical or some unexpected leave when it comes to whatever it is that you are studying. On a different note, the 9th house is associated with religion, your beliefs in general, okay? So your religious beliefs, your spiritual beliefs, political, ideological, and so on and so forth. So you may have an aha moment around the 13th of April where certain previously strongly held beliefs that you had are falling away somehow. So this could be coming through in the form of an epiphany or a spiritual experience or a religious experience, or just seeing something very clearly that you hadn't seen before. And this could be very challenging to you, especially if you had almost like associated who you are with this belief or this thing that's in your life. this could indicate feeling disappointed with a teacher or a mentor, or it could be that there's no issues in your relationship with a teacher or a beloved mentor, but maybe they're saying, look, I can't teach you anymore. I have to go and do this, or you can't be my student, or I need some time to just take a break from my teachings. And maybe, and this could also be a psychologist or someone who's like a counselor to you, and this could be something that is difficult news for you to hear, let's say. On the 14th of April, so the very next day, Saturn is going to form a rare conjunction with the North Node in Pisces at 26 degrees in your second house. So this conjunction only occurs once every 11 to 12 years. The last time we had this conjunction was in 2013 in the sign of Scorpio, and the next time we'll see this conjunction will be in 2036 in the sign of Leo. But this is happening for you now in your second house, so you can see that second house is so activated for you, Aquarius. Now, 26 degrees happens to be the Taurus degree, so again, it's associated with finances and resources as it is. Saturn, as we've already discussed, is your ruling planet. So you're gonna feel this one, guys. You're gonna be starting something new, or there'll be a new opportunity that lands at your doorstep. And for some of you, this could be increasing your income, generating a new stream of income, procuring a new resource or valuable, maybe making a very significant financial investment around this time. So there could be some big expenses happening. Maybe it's one big expense, or maybe it's a long-term financial commitment that you are making. And in terms of the energy of this conjunction, Saturn, of course, rules over things like discipline and structure and challenges, binding obligations and agreements and setting boundaries. And then the North Node, I don't want to say it's the polar opposite, but it's really quite opposite in nature. It doesn't want to adhere to rules and boundaries and regulations. It doesn't want to follow a methodical step-by-step process. So if we're combining these two energies together astrologically and forming or drawing conclusions here, I would say that it's a bit of column A and a bit of column B. Whatever you're doing, I think it'll be investing in a long-term project, or you're making a decision which is really going to impact you in the long term, or there may be something very binding about this arrangement or this agreement. But the North Node here is like, well, it's a financial risk. Well, I'm going to have to take a leap of faith here, or what you're trying to achieve could be like a lofty goal or very ambitious in nature. Maybe it's never been done before. Maybe you're being pushed outside of your comfort zone. And ultimately, this could actually see you acquiring a lot of wealth as a result of whatever is starting around this time. But there could be red tape. There could be someone or something that's saying, no, you can't do this. That could be in the form of government policy, regulations, someone else's rules, and you're having to find a way through that or around that, or convince someone to be on the same page as you. So as you can see here, Venus and I forgot what I was talking about for a moment. Venus is also here at 24 degrees Pisces, and then we've got Mercury here at 28 degrees Pisces too. So it really does seem to involve contracts, other people, collaborations, and finances, resources, and something being surrendered here with Venus at 24 degrees Pisces. But moving along, on the 18th of April, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo, and it will be there for 2 months in your 7th house until the 17th of June. So this Mars in Leo transit is picking up where it left off at the end of last year. So Mars first entered Leo in early November 2024, then it stationed retrograde in early December 2024, and then it re-entered Cancer in early January of this year. So if you cast your mind back to November, December, and maybe even early January, whatever's happening now, so mid-April through till mid-June, is a continuation of that or from that. Mars going through the 7th house can see you actually trying to achieve a goal or an objective together with another person. This can be a business partner, your spouse, even your second-born child. Mars in the 7th house can actually see your significant other working out, getting fit, having a lot of strong sexual energy. They could be very determined around this time, looking good, feeling good. And on a different note, Mars going through your 7th house could indicate that you are perhaps wanting to sever ties with someone that you are involved with. So this could be in business, this could be a contractual obligation, and it could be either them with you or you with them in terms of who is trying to kind of separate from this connection. And it doesn't have to be a full separation. Sometimes when we have Mars going through the 7th house, we can just be butting heads with our business partner, our second-born child, our significant other, or our spouse, or even clients as well. So Mars going through your 7th house, if you want to channel this energy, you should look at sports where it's a one-to-one competition, such as tennis, okay, or squash. It's where you have an opponent. So playing sport with just you and one other person is a really good way to channel that Mars in the 7th house energy into something helpful and productive, or maybe doing a workout challenge with your partner, maybe going for runs together, going to the gym together, going to the gym with a friend, engaging the services of a personal trainer. You may be inclined to do all of this stuff anyway without my suggestion. So, oh, I just realized, Aquarius, I had Capricorn here. It was meant to be Aquarius this whole time. I promise this is the Aquarius horoscope. Okay, so moving along, on the 25th of April, we're going to see Venus in Pisces forming its third and final conjunction with Saturn in Pisces for this year. This is in your 2nd house, and this one is at 27 degrees. And you can see that we've got the moon and North Node conjunct here as well, which is kind of special. And it's all sextiling Uranus in Taurus in your 4th house. So both your property houses are activated here. I'm not going to spend too much time delving into this, seeing as we already discussed it with the 7th of April. But again, big decisions could be made surrounding budgets, finances, resources, valuables, possessions, keeping something in storage or removing something in storage, maybe doing a huge decluttering of your life. So this could be your wardrobe, anything that you've got in the home, in the basement, etc., etc. This could be you committing to perhaps building a new property, renovating, extending, maybe digging out a new garden. And on a different note, this could see you generating a new stream of income or committing to some kind of significant financial payment plan. Okay, so lastly for the month, on the 27th of April, there will be a new moon in Taurus at 7 degrees, and this will be in your 4th house. Just a few hours before this new moon, we actually have the Mars-Pluto opposition taking place at 3 degrees, which of course activates your 1st house and your 7th house. But of course, looking at the new moon, it's part of this new moon anyway, so we can just discuss it all together, all in one. A new moon is all about a new chapter taking place, planting the new seeds, making a decision for something as it relates to that house. The 4th house represents your property, your living circumstances, flatmates, your family, parents, children, and also your childhood, your emotional foundation, and so on and so forth. So a new moon here in the 4th house could indicate that you are potentially wanting to buy, sell, rent your property out, relocate to a new rental, maybe buy an investment property. This could be a look in at you moving in with another person, someone moving in with you, you moving out of home. As it relates to family, this could see you experiencing a new dimension or a new chapter taking place as it relates to you and perhaps your parents, maybe even your grandparents as well. If your parents are elderly or if one of them is unwell, you may be making important decisions medically on their behalf around this time. And totally switching gears here, some of you may be looking at starting a family, expanding your family further, maybe involving the IVF process or a surrogate, or just doing some research into that. And lastly, this could indicate that you may be doing some research into your heritage and your roots, so your ancestors that came before you. With the opposition to Pluto and Mars, this can indicate that there is someone who is maybe pushing you, putting the pressure on, or encouraging you to make some kind of decision as it relates to these aforementioned topics, or perhaps whatever it is that you're choosing to do, you know that it's going to ruffle a few feathers, or that there's someone in your life who may not be 100% on board with you, but it's also like, it is what it is. You have to make decisions that are right for you, even if they're not going to be approved by everyone in your life, right? So Aquarius, that's all I have for you for April 2025. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, and I will see you guys in my next video. Hi Pisces, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. Well, you guys win the award for the sign that is the most activated for the month of April. As we enter the month, Mercury is still retrograde in Pisces, Venus is still retrograde in Pisces, and we've also got a number of other activations to the sign of Pisces in April. So first and foremost, let me just say that the Pisceans who will be the most activated will be those around 21 degrees to 29 degrees, and you win the whole bingo card if you're Pisces at 26 degrees. In any case, let's just dive straight in. So with Mercury retrograde here in your 1st house and ruling over both your 4th house and your 7th house, there may be a lot of mental real estate that is focused on your property and your living circumstances. And these can even be temporary living circumstances, but it's basically just like, what's going on with where I'm living, who I'm living with, am I happy here? There may be lots of thoughts about your family, how my parents are going to react to this, or grandparents, how my children going to react to this and that. There may be thoughts about whether or not you should be trying for a family, or if you already have children, maybe thoughts about, should I be expanding my family further or not? On the 7th of April, Mercury will be stationing direct at 26 degrees Pisces. So if there's been confusion about who you live with, your property and your living circumstances, or maybe even family dynamics, these can start to settle down and dissipate from the 7th of April onwards. It does need to be said that the post-shadow retrograde period will not conclude until the 27th of April. Okay, so this means that even though you may have more clarity about these matters, maybe you're not able to execute on them until later in the month. Also on the 7th of April, we have Venus in Pisces, still retrograde here, forming its second conjunction with Saturn. It will form its third and final conjunction for the year on the 25th of April. So, of course, this conjunction is taking place in your first house. And if you have a closer look here, we've got Mercury conjunct with the North Node, and all of this is actually trining Mars in Cancer. And wow, not a single hard aspect, not a single, let's say, square or opposition. Of course, a conjunction is still a hard aspect, but the bottom line is that there's really supportive energy here. So I just want to say, Pisces, that if things leading up to this moment have been difficult, confusing, tough, I don't know where I stand, I don't know what's going on with this person, I don't know what's going on with me, I think that things are going to start to unravel in a good way, or unfold, I should say, from the 7th of April onwards. If there's been confusion about an important relationship in your life, I do think an important discussion will be had, or conclusion will start to be approached around the 7th of March. And I say that because Venus rules over love, romance, and relationships and friendships. Also, Venus rules over your third house. So this could be difficult relationships with siblings, extended relatives. So think cousins, aunties, uncles, and so on and so forth. And I think that but the important conversations can be had around the 7th of April, and then maybe conclusions won't be reached until the end of April. But just a reminder that this has been going on since the 19th of January this year, or we could even track it back to 1 year prior, so early 2024, when we also had a Venus-Saturn conjunction in the sign of Pisces then as well. Moving along though, on the 13th of April, Venus is going to station direct in the sign of Pisces at 24 degrees. So Venus has been retrograde since the 2nd of March, and that retrograde, it started at 10 degrees Aries, and then it retrograded back into Pisces at the end of March. Then 13th of April, it'll be direct at 24 degrees Pisces, but the post-shadow period will not conclude until the 16th of May. What does this mean? Issues with friends and siblings and also your romantic partner can start to be worked out and ironed out. This can see you feeling very creative if you've been working on something creatively speaking, like a creative project, a drawing, a painting, a song, a musical composition. This can see you experiencing success here, or feeling like you've overcome a period of maybe a creative blockage, or you've done the hard yards as it relates to editing. On a different note, this can see you feeling more attractive, more flirty. Maybe there are more opportunities for you to go on dates and really enjoy romance and passion with another person, whether this is someone that you've just started dating or you go on one date with, or maybe this is your spouse or your significant other. Also on the 13th of April, we will have a full moon in Libra taking place, and this will be at 23 degrees in your 8th house. So this full moon is conjunct the fixed star Spica, and Spica is associated with artistic talent, creativity, as well as prosperity and abundance. It has to be said that this full moon is making some spicy aspects, you guys. It's opposing Chiron in Aries exactly at 23 degrees, and it is making a tight T-square with Mars in Cancer. But fortunately for you, Mars in Cancer is trining you. So that's a saving grace there. Plus, fortunately, the full moon is trining Jupiter in Gemini. So let's unpack this. The 8th house represents our fears, our insecurities, sudden change and transformation. It's a deeply psychological house, and it also rules over secrets, the occult, anything esoteric in nature, plus mutual resources. So full moon in the 8th house can see you having to overcome fears, overcome blockages, overcome any insecurities that you have, especially if they relate to intimacy with another person, given that we have this tight T squared to Mars and Cancer in your 5th house, and the 5th house is associated with romance and sex, and the 8th house is also associated with sex and intimacy. So these things can all be intermingled. A full moon in the 8th house could indicate that you may be receiving financial help or support from another person, but with the opposition to Chiron in Aries, this could be like, it's really hard for me to accept this. It's really hard for me to accept this help or this support, or even for you to just talk about what are your personal values, what are your preferences. With the conjunction to Chiron, there's some kind of real issue that you experience in speaking your truth, but the good news is you will be able to do it. So if you've been plucking up the courage to speak your truth, to have a really important conversation with another person, I do think that it is going to happen around the 13th of April. Also, there could be an epiphany or conclusion being reached that relates to your mutual resources. So this could be finances that you share with another person, resources, joint bank accounts, child support money, alimony money, and child custody, and things of that nature. So on the 14th of April, the very next day, we're going to see the Saturn-North Node conjunction taking place at 26 degrees in your 1st house. Told you 26 degrees was going to be significant. So ultimately, this conjunction between Saturn and the North Node is rare. It only occurs once every 11 to 12 years. The last time that we saw this conjunction take place was 2013 in the sign of Scorpio, and after this one, on the 14th of April, the next one won't be until 2036 in the sign of Leo. So the energy of Saturn and the North Node almost couldn't be more opposite in nature. Saturn is all about discipline, structure, restriction, and it can represent delays and challenges as well as boundaries and authority figures. It certainly rules over things like long-term agreements, arrangements, binding obligations, and that sort of thing. With the North Node, it's a very ambitious nature. It wants to take risks. It wants to reach new, unprecedented heights. It wants to move quickly. It doesn't want to wait around. There's a very impatient energy here, and it does have a sexual energy and nature to it, and it wants to acquire resources and amass wealth. So fusing these two energies together in this conjunction in your 1st house can indicate that you may be committing to some kind of long-term project, obligation, agreement, or arrangement. You may be receiving government approval for something, or seeking council approval or seeking government approval for something. You may be having to put in boundaries with another person, or maybe boundaries as it relates to your career. So just making sure that you're not, I suppose, burning the candle at both ends by working too hard. On a different note, this can see you trying to obtain financial independence, so perhaps generating a new stream of income, or perhaps you are experimenting with something new in your life. I know that sounds kind of vague, but it looks as though you're wanting to try something new or commit to something new, and it's going to require a lot of energy or effort from you, and it's a long-term commitment, or it's a commitment that you're not making lightly. So this could involve entering into a relationship with another person, changes to your property and living circumstances, wanting to start a family with someone else, maybe wanting to get engaged or get married, or start a new business, maybe start a new business with another person. You could be investing in yourself. You could be investing very heavily into your career, especially if you're a Pisces sun or Pisces rising. If you're a Pisces moon, maybe this is more about family, children, relationships, and your property and living circumstances. Pisces, on the 18th of April, Mars is going to enter the sign of Leo, which means it will be transiting your 6th house, and it'll be there for 2 months until the 17th of June, at which point it will move into the sign of Virgo. So 2 months in your 6th house can see you actually getting really fit, getting really into exercise, health, nutrition, and wellness. And if you are trying to commit to some kind of health goal or exercise challenge, maybe like a boot camp or something like that, you can have great success here. The 6th house is associated with pets, so you may be looking at maybe building something for your pet. I've heard of things like catios, which is a very, very interesting solution to indoor cats. Anyway, I'm not gonna get lost in the weeds discussing that one. On a different note, some of you may be starting a new job, applying for a new promotion, or seeking out a change which relates to the department that you're in. There may be an opportunity for you to travel interstate for work or internationally. And I say that because Mars rules over your 9th house of travel and it is in your 6th house. Maybe you are applying for a work visa. Mars going through the 9th house can indicate that you are trying to cut out habits and implement new, healthier, positive habits. And if that is the case, I believe you will have enormous success, because the 6th house is associated with challenge and conflict, and Mars going through the 6th house can help to combat that conflict. It can help you to fight with a warrior-like spirit and really achieve your goals and objectives, so you can certainly get through life admin tasks, however boring, however mundane, with Mars transiting your 6th house. Lastly, if you're seeking out a loan or a mortgage or looking at remortgaging, A, I think you'll have challenges there, but B, I think you'll be successful. So take that as you will. On the 25th of April, Venus in Pisces will form its third and final conjunction with Saturn at 27 degrees in your 1st house for another year. So it'll be another 12 months, give or take a month, until we experience another Venus-Saturn conjunction. So this is really tying up the loose ends from January and certainly start of April, and maybe even a year ago when we had the previous Venus-Saturn conjunction in Pisces. Ultimately, you may have to make a really important decision about your relationship with another person. This could be romantic, this could be business related, or this could be with a friend. And I say that because Venus rules over love and romance, but then you've also got Venus ruling over your 3rd house, which is a very business-oriented house, and the 3rd house is also associated with friendships. So you could be looking at moving in together, making a relationship exclusive, making important decisions about the long-term future of your relationship. You could be making decisions that are binding you closer together, that involve children, property, your parents, introducing each other to your families or to children from previous relationships. Could be going into business with your significant other. You could be going into business with a sibling or with a friend. And for others of you, you could be applying for some kind of visa or permanent residency or even citizenship as well. So in any case, I do think that very important decisions that relate to your personal satisfaction and happiness are going to be made around the 25th of April. Moving along, on the 27th of April, We're going to have a new moon in Taurus in your third house occurring at 7 degrees. It's sextiling you, which is positive, but the new moon is in a tense T-square with Mars and Pluto. So just a few hours before the new moon takes place, these two planets are forming an exact opposition at 3 degrees. As far as how this relates to you, the third house rules over contracts, education, friends, co-workers, clients, siblings. It's a business house. It's also associated with things like licenses, certifications, qualifications, and apprenticeships. So a new moon is all about a new chapter taking place. Some of you may be signing up for a new course, becoming a teacher, or a course content creator, starting a new social media platform, actually making new friends. You could be learning something new. You could be learning with siblings or learning with friends or a small group of people. You could be applying for a new license, qualification, certification, or apprenticeship, or you could be taking a new apprentice on board. The third house also relates to short-term travel, like day trips, as well as vehicles. So you could be looking at buying a vehicle or selling a vehicle or going on a spontaneous short-term, like a getaway trip, I mean to say. So that's all I have for you, Pisces. Thank you so much for watching your April horoscope. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, and I will see you guys in my next video.